trivia and
Okay.
election results. Oh God, I can hear myself. Oh God. Okay.
You're still in Discord.
Did I mute it? Okay, I muted it. With at Godless Granny and Katie.
Okay.
There we go. All right, that is posted on the Twitters, and now I need to go here, grab the stream itself, and put it up on the YouTubes. So let me do that. Oh, I need to get out of here. I promise we're doing a show. Oh, there's the camera. Hi. Give me a second. There's you think it's like, you know, you just click a button and go live, but there's so many pieces and parts to just going live that you don't think about. And then I got to choose. There we go. We'll just choose this one. We'll just reuse this one. Presidential trivia. Oops, I spelled that totally wrong. Presidential trivia. And live election results. That's fine. There we go. And then let's download that. I love live producing. I'm sure everyone's really happy about it.
Hey, we're getting it going. It's fine.
We're getting it going. We're getting it going. Give me just one sec. Let's just call it. Oh my God, just call it trivia. It's fine. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't.
Perfectionist.
Yeah. Well, it's trying to save it as something that was already saved, and so it's yelling at me, and so I'm like, okay, just change the name. It's fine. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the ProLib show. I'm ProLib. This is Kitty, and that's Godless Granny. And we're watching an election. We've got in a little over 3 minutes, polls will be closing in Michigan, Arizona, and Wisconsin, which are three really important, states. And, you know, Vice President Harris, I almost called her President Harris. Vice President Harris doesn't need all of them.
You can call
We're
her
gonna
President
manifest that.
tomorrow.
We're gonna manifest that shit.
I'm saying, I'm trying to be fair. She doesn't need all of them, but she needs 2 of them. Any 2 of them. She needs Michigan and Arizona, or Arizona and Wisconsin, or Michigan and Wisconsin, which would be the preferred. Don't get me wrong. Yes, share and like if you can, please. Share and like. We're gonna be here for I don't even know. My phone's already at 20%.
I'm gonna be up for a hot minute.
Yeah,
So
I don't know when we're going to bed. I don't know if I can go to bed.
I mean, yeah, we'll see.
I'm seeing some reports of the possibilities of Harris taking Pennsylvania are better than Trump's. I think that's like betting market stuff, so that's not like NBC News saying that. So that's kind of what we were talking about on TikTok. Like, you gotta hi April. You gotta take a lot of that with a grain of salt. Did I put the link in? I did. Okay, I put the link in there. Okay, cool. I put the link in the places. And then did it post on Twitter? I want to make sure we're live on Twitter. People want to watch us on Twitter. They are. Okay, cool. We do have a trivia game. So we've already played 2 rounds on TikTok. GE, who I think he's going to bed. So I don't think he's coming back. But G won round 2 over Kitty, 6 to 5. It was a very close game. And then Kitty destroyed Godless Granny and GE in round 2, basically because almost every question that Kitty got was FDR, and she just kept guessing FDR over and over, and she was right repeatedly, which I love, and I think that that's kind of a beautiful thing. And so She won with 7 points. Godless Granny had 2.5 points. Godless Engineer had 2 points. We do have an open slot. If you are a friend of the show and you want to come on and play some presidential trivia and talk about the elections, let us know. Arizona polls close in 30 seconds. So, sorry, I dropped my pen and it's rolling around. So I'm going to give you the information. I explained this on TikTok. I can explain this here. So I have MSNBC on one screen and I have Twitter on another screen. There's a ton of stuff that's happening on Twitter that I will not be talking about. All kinds of different reports that I can't verify. The only things that I'm sharing here is NBC News projections. So if it's not that, I'm probably not sharing it. So people that are tagging me in different reports of things, I'm not reporting it. I won't say it on stream. Just letting you know. Michigan, too early to call. Wisconsin, too early to call. This is all from the NBC decision desk. Wisconsin is too early to call. Arizona, too early to call. And I think that's it for this, at this hour. They are projecting now that Donald Trump has taken Texas. Texas did not flip blue, so we do not have a Blexus.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still not time to panic yet.
Nope.
No, of course not. No.
Not at all. No,
No.
my sister's still messaging me and she's like sending me pictures of the electoral map saying, panic yet? And I'm like, no, babe, not yet.
Not even
panic.
slightly.
I'll let you know if we need to panic.
Yeah, I'll let you know if we need to panic, this will be the place to say. They're still saying New York is too early to call, which is kind of funny to me. And that Iowa is too early to call.
That one's more interesting considering the Seltzer poll, you know, like
Exactly.
I'm kind of curious to see how that one goes.
Minnesota too early to call. Nebraska too early to call.
If Minnesota didn't go to Kamala and Walz, like that's game over. Like honestly,
Colorado, they're saying it's too early to call. Interesting. Louisiana too early to call.
I think they just don't have enough results in yet.
Yeah. Kansas too early to call. I'm just letting you guys know that you're not missing anything. That's all. New Mexico too early to call. Okay.
So far, there haven't been any surprises. There's been nothing that we haven't expected. And
right.
I'll do the spiel again here that I did over on TikTok. It may look like Trump is pulling ahead and the map looks very, very red. First off, a lot of the states don't actually offer up a lot of electoral votes, but the big swing states do, and those are the ones that we really need to watch. But there is something called the red mirage, and the same thing happened in 2020. A lot of states have passed laws that say you cannot start counting mail-in votes or early in-person votes until after the day of election votes are counted. And traditionally, Republicans tend to vote on the day of the election, and Democrats or left-leaning individuals tend to vote early or by mail. That being said, it means that it's going to look like the red side is, that the GOP are making huge gains, but they haven't started counting the bulk of the ballots. And there's a massive turnout this year for early in-person voting and mail-in voting. So, it's going to look like the red side, the GOP are winning, but as we get further into the night and they are done counting the day of ballots and start moving to the mail-in and early in-person, then that's going to shift.
Correct. The Senate in Wisconsin, too early to call. Of course, Tammy Baldwin is the incumbent there. Again, I'm just reporting it as it comes in. That's all. Michigan, Senate race, too early to call. That's the one with Slotkin up against Rogers. Slotkin with 8% in is up, but it's only 8%. Nebraska's too early to call. That's where independent Dan Osborne's running against the incumbent Republican Deb Fischer. Dan Osborne is up with 10% in, but it's still too early to call. Up significantly. He's up almost 20 points. But again, it's only 10%. So far, the Senate at this hour does have one net gain for the Republicans. Just something to keep in mind. But, hi, Lano. I just saw you. I can put Lano up on the screen. Hi, Lano. But yeah, there is one up. The Florida Amendment for right to abortion, 86% is in. It's still up 57 to 43. So, Kitty, you still got a chance. there's still a chance that that could pass.
I remember the year that it was on the ballot of whether or not you need 60% or just a simple majority in order to pass a constitutional amendment. And I voted against it when it happened.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I was in the minority on that. So, in order for it to actually pass, it needs 60%.
Right.
And that is frustrating because a lot of Republicans have relocated to Florida from other states, northern states, but also from Texas,
Yep.
especially after the big freeze they had where their power grid completely shit the bed.
Yep.
So there's a lot of Republicans in Florida, unfortunately, and I am really hoping, like, I want Amendment 3 and 4 to both reach a 60% majority, but if I had to pick just one, it would be Amendment 4 because people's lives are on the line with that one.
I'm
But,
sorry.
you
I'm
know.
sorry. I have an announcement. I'm so sorry. Ruben Gallego is projected to have defeated Kari Lake in the Arizona Senate election. So Ruben Gallego, that is a big
mean,
win.
It's a big win, but it's not that surprising. Carrie Lake
It's not.
she's a crank,
It's
you
not.
know.
He's definitely a crank, but that is good for the Dems. I'm sorry. I do have bad news. NBC News is now projecting that the Florida abortion amendment has been rejected, that it will not pass.
Yeah, I saw those margins getting a little bit slim, and that is very depressing. But, you know, it sucks. It really does. But if Kamala wins and if we can make gains in Congress, then we can get a national protection that,
True.
would cover it. And there's always next time. So if you are a Florida resident, then I guarantee that, the pro-choice people will be pushing for this in the next election. So we can hope for the midterms to be able to get the 60% that we need. And we can also hope for the Democrats to actually give us a national protection and enshrining Roe into law. So,
just want to say quick hi to Strawberry Harpy and Spooky. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, April, another one that Lake will deny. Yes, she will. She'll, of course, deny that.
Absolutely.
That it
New
happened.
York is now projected for Harris.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I haven't seen that yet, but I mean, I think it was just what you said earlier. It was just, there wasn't enough results in yet. I mean, that again, not a surprise.
And it's not a surprise. I mean, honestly, the whole North usually goes all of New
Northeast,
England. Yeah.
Harris has now been projected in Colorado, so that's good. Again, it's a blue state.
Not a super surprise, but
Not
it
a
is
big
good. We
surprise.
need all the electoral votes we can get.
Right. Well, and Republicans were hoping that there'd be a surprise there. But again, really, this race is going to come down to what it always comes down to: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Those are the states that matter.
And Kamala is up pretty big in Michigan so far. Not a lot reporting in, though, according to the AP, but she's still up.
Yeah, and Spackle makes a good
in
point.
Pennsylvania.
Yes, absolutely. Spackle makes a good point. Colorado isn't as blue as you think, but it has been a Democratic stronghold. So that's why, I'm not saying it's definitely a surprise, but it is good to know. North Carolina is at about 36% reporting. So my blue Doritos still sit unopened. These are for...
If North Carolina goes blue.
They're either my celebratory North Carolina has turned blue, or my stress eating North Carolina has not turned blue. So either way, I win.
So the reason why I knew exactly what he was going to say, and I'll tell you guys, it's funny because he and I are very, very similar, like very similar. And sometimes the wildest shit just comes out of my mouth. And we were talking and I'm like, yeah, you're basically just man flavored me.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. He's the man version of me. Like we are that similar.
They're throwing up some numbers right now, comparing Harris against Trump. throwing up this election versus 2020 in North Carolina, Harris is about a half a point behind where Biden was in that particular county in North Carolina. So, again, that's one county, and it's not everything is in, but that's just kind of where it stands right now. And I'm trying to not be a homer. So when I see stuff that I don't like, I'm trying to report that too. Obviously, I don't want to see that. I want to see her up, but it kind of is what it is. Spooky's watching the results on BBC. That feels weird. Actually, I'm going to move. Hold on. I'm going to move GG over here. So that way the comments don't come up in front of GG's face whenever I put them up on screen. There we go. That's better.
Very much a fuck it, we'll do it live kind of moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I literally made this right before I made this thing right before we went. That's why it's kind of kooky looking, but hey, it works. Oh, you know what? I can add in a background, can't I?
I think so.
Backgrounds I can add on.
I think so.
Those are borders. There's background music. Let's see how this goes. Oh, well, that's in front of everything. There we go. Now we've got some. I'm live fixing this so that it's spaced correctly.
It's very pretty though.
It's pretty.
I like
just
that.
in front of everybody. There we go.
And
there we go. Now we got some movement behind us. It's prettier looking.
Yes.
Again, it's Steve Karnacki showing some counties in North Carolina. Some counties that they haven't called because, again, what you saw was a lot of Republicans voting early, and now we're getting a lot of the same day vote, which is tending to be more Democratic. So is Harris going to get to the same amount of difference that Biden had or better in these counties? That's what we're waiting on. And like this county that we're talking, statewide, there's only 41% of the vote in North Carolina. So we don't know how much ground is she going to make up as these results come in. And we don't know yet. But Trump is the projected winner in Texas, of course. We went over that.
I was still hoping for Blexus, but it's fine. We still have a path to victory. It is not time to panic.
That's true.
I am just trying to reassure everybody.
Look here, ProLib. ProLib's not my username. ProLib's just my nickname. So I did not steal your username. I simply nicknamed myself your username. Because my username is Progressive Liberal, but everybody just called me ProLib because that's shorter. So
nobody wants to say something with that many syllables.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's not fun. So I didn't steal your username. I simply used the nickname that is your moniker. It's like when two guys named Dave meet each other, right? Or like when Kitty AB is in the chat and she says something and I'm like, well, Kitty says, and Kitty's like, well, I didn't say that. And I'm like, no, not you.
The other one.
The other Kitty.
Sorry, I keep muting because the kiddo's super hyper. But my background, it's a cross stitch that says no spoons, only knives. And it's all these different types of knives.
Right.
It's brilliant. And, it matters.
Yeah.
Considering how I'm feeling.
It does. So at this hour, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all of the battleground states are too early to call.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, well, I hear you. It's not on purpose, ProLib.
They just called one more. I missed it. They called one more for Trump.
Called another state for Trump?
Yeah, he jumped up to 177.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I do not know.
Wyoming, North and South Dakota, and Nebraska are all called for Trump. I don't know if any of those are the ones you're looking at.
That could be it.
It might have been. I just saw red pop up out of the corner of my eye because I've got it on my screen right here.
I'm looking at the AP map.
Same. I'm looking at
Okay.
the AP map.
And I'm watching MSNBC live because they, their projections are NBC
Yeah,
News.
basically the whole South has now gone for Trump. Georgia is still, still going. North Carolina, Virginia is still going.
Right. Okay.
Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, they're all going.
Michigan is now reported to be a pure toss-up. From that's the New York Times. So. Again, this is what we knew was going to happen. We're going to get a bunch of stuff, and then it just kind of slows down right around 9 p.m. This is an election day, which is why we said when we first scheduled this, like, we don't know how late we're going to call, because are we going to start to get some results and get some feeling of stuff by like 10 o'clock? And we don't know. Yeah, well.
But that might have been it. It might have been Texas because he did get a huge bump in the electoral count.
Yeah, that's probably Texas, because Texas is like 40%.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Or not 40%, like 40 votes.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, my sister's very upset about Amendment 4, and understandable. Like, she also lives in Florida.
Right. I don't know that I want to report this. There's a report out that Bob Casey is the projected incumbent winner for the Senate in Pennsylvania. So, but that's not an official source. So, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not seeing that from NBC or anywhere else yet. So, April, I have been for a while. I have been for a while. And you know what's... Well, I don't want to get into that. I was just going to talk about something that I don't want to get into. Don't want to get into.
Sorry, I'm trying to reassure my sister, who is freaking the fuck out right now in my text messages. Understandably so. Like,
Sure.
I mean, she pays attention to politics,
Right.
not as much as me, because I am always listening to things, but she is, a much more informed voter than
Let me give
a
you
lot
some
of
good
people.
news. Can I give you some good news?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
In Georgia, Vice President Harris in Fayette County is outperforming where Biden was in 2020 by several percentage points. Okay? There you go. There's some good news for you. In Gwinnett County in Georgia, she's also outperforming President Biden in Georgia. So those are important, highly populated counties in Georgia. She's outperforming Biden in both of them up to this point. Now, not everything has been reported, of course, but that's just something to keep in mind. Like, there is some reason why it hasn't been called yet. Okay, there are defined reasons why they have not yet been called. Shadow says the best part is you can't even qualify as a refugee if you enter Canada from the lower U.S. That's true. That's true. You cannot run away to Canada.
Which is unfortunate because, trans people are kind of screwed. Just in the southern states in general, but
right.
If the election does go badly, which I don't think it is, I'm sure she's gonna win. I am still confident she's gonna win.
Still confident she's gonna win. Like, you got to understand that a lot of what you're seeing right now are the votes, the early votes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of votes still to be counted. Thousands and tons and thousands and millions of votes still have to be counted. So just, there was not a blue wave through Florida and Texas. It's unfortunate, but it's not really that surprising.
It's not. It's one of those things. This would have been the time because Trump is so unpopular, and because things like a referendum on the Dobbs decision, there were a lot of things working in our favor for this to have been the year that, Texas maybe went blue, or that Florida became a swing state again, because there was a time when Florida was a swing state and not solidly Republican.
Yes. Yeah.
It hasn't been
for my lifetime.
yeah, when I was a kid, Florida was one of those swing states that, they really hammered home at. So
I
as
remember
it stands, it's
I
not
grew up with
surprising,
Democratic
just
governors.
disappointing.
Right, exactly. Unplug says, good to see you, Unplug. Most likely by the end of the night, this becomes a one-sided landslide. I mean, that's what's trending, right? Like we obviously sitting here at 9:20 p.m., we can't predict that, but that is the trend, especially the gender gap, which has been huge everywhere, including here in North Carolina. And it just feels like, that seeing where that was. They're showing Douglas County in Georgia. Harris is outperforming Biden by almost 4 points. No, I'm sorry, 3.5 points from where Biden was
And
in
Biden won
2020.
Georgia. So if
And Biden
Kamala is
won Georgia.
outperforming Biden, that is promising.
It's
for-
promising. Again,
We
we're
don't know
not
yet.
predicting, but it looks good. Gigi, how are you feeling?
Nervous.
Okay.
Same. And, I'm exactly in the same headspace as I was in 2016 and in 2020 when it was election night, because unfortunately, with the way that they've changed the rules on things, and making sure, the order they count things, it does contribute more to that red mirage. And that's tactical, it's strategic, because it gives them the chance to say, oh, there's something fishy going on because we were winning when I went to bed. And then when I woke up in the morning, we weren't winning anymore. And it's, because they were counting more votes. But, it doesn't matter. Like, it gives them the opportunity to try some shenanigans like they did in 2020.
Of course. Unplugged says, I see a huge swing in black male voters in the Southeast towards Trump. There's been some indication that there's black men that are voting for him, and Latino men. Latinos, because that's what that means. But a huge swing hasn't really been seen. It is, from what I've seen, it's between like 12 and 18%, which is significant. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's not like, it's not I wouldn't say it's like 30. It won't, I don't think we'll see 30 or 40%. I don't think we'll see something huge, but there has been a swing of in communities of color of men. It's going to have an effect. We don't know how much of an effect yet. The bigger swing that we've seen is the gender gap, is more women voting early this year than did in 2020 or 2016. That has been significant. And will that be the same? I don't know. They just called Rhode Island for Vice President Harris. So again, not a surprise. There's been no surprises tonight. Everything that's been called has been well within what was projected. Missouri has just been called, or I'm sorry, Mississippi has just been called for Donald Trump. Louisiana has been called for Donald Trump. Again, there aren't any surprises here. These are the states
where we expected to be. We were hopeful.
Iowa, what?
Iowa is flipping. Iowa was leaning for Trump about 10 minutes ago. Now it is leaning for Harris.
58 to 40.
Really?
58
Iowa?
to 40.
Dude, if she wins Iowa.
They're projecting Iowa to be an upset.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sarah McBride. Sarah McBride, the Democrat in Delaware, is now the projected winner. It's a House race.
All the Democrats we can get, though.
Yeah, it's a House race, but it's a pickup for the Democrats. So did want to report that.
According to the AP, as of right now, and granted with not everything reporting in, with Michigan, Kamala is up 53.5 to 44.6. In Iowa, 58.3 to 40.6. Missouri, 54.7 to 42.2.
Here's the thing. Let's get to what I wanted to talk about. We're going to talk about my Twitter thread. Wow, isn't that exciting? So I made a Twitter thread yesterday. So let me pull it up and get it up on the screen so that you guys can take a look at it here. I know we're gonna look at Twitter. Isn't that fun? I don't have anything else to say.
Tweets.
Yes. Like, just drag me to hell already.
Okay. So this was what I projected. I got to add it to the screen. Sorry. Let me crop this in and stuff real quick so that you're not seeing all the stuff that doesn't matter.
I mean, you're pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to get it more. You'll see what I mean in just a second.
You're wrong on Maine.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Right now, Maine
right.
is it's a lot closer now. When the last time I looked, it was heavily for Donald Trump, but now
Yeah, now it's
very
0.7.
close.
So,
Yeah,
so chat,
0.7%,
I'm sorry to block you off for a minute, but I'm going to block you off for a minute. This is what I predicted the electoral map will look like on Wednesday, Thursday. It looks like I'm pretty close, right? 242, 235. Trump flips AZ before we get the final else map. Then it looks like this. That was my prediction, is that Trump would take Arizona. Okay. And now we've got 246 to 242, Trump in the lead. And then I predicted that PA results come in for Harris, right? Now we've got 261 to 246. And I think this is where things start to get bad. Because what you're going to see is what we've been talking about all night, a red mirage, right? Of Trump in the lead, 246 to 242. You know, Trump in the lead up here. Harris in the lead up here, 242 to 235, but Trump then takes 246 to 242 when he takes Arizona. And I believe that PA will flip blue. I also predict that North Carolina will be blue. So we're going to see. North Carolina hasn't been called yet. That's why I was holding off on this. But we're going to go ahead and do this anyway. And I don't think that we'll see this until probably tomorrow. But when we do, this is when Elon starts to flip things into overdrive on Twitter. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're stealing the election, Musk states, as they share some AI-generated video that's clearly fake, showing ballots being shipped in PA, bringing things home for Harris. That's when Michigan results come in and Harris goes over 270. Okay, this, again, my prediction, none of this has happened yet. This is just me predicting what I think will happen over the next couple of days. After Republicans get ahead on Wednesday and Thursday, but now Harris is leading. Let's say it's Friday. Let's say it's Saturday. Harris takes the lead. That's when you start to see protests. That's when you start to see riots. And that's when you start to see the scheme that I think they're going to try to employ to steal this election, because Trump supporting electors in Michigan and PA then refuse to certify their state's elections. A court case makes its way to SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States. Supreme Court agrees, says they don't have to validate those elections. And now the map looks like this, and the Republicans have the lead again. The 12th Amendment states, and I'm going to read this whole thing for you. The 12th Amendment states, the person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president. If such a number be a majority or the whole number of electors appointed. And that or is very, 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 very important, because SCOTUS could say, well, it says or, so it can be either or. And if the electors say, or if the House of Representatives says, the House of Representatives says that they want to look at the number that is the majority instead of the number who are appointed, the House of Representatives can choose to do that and then decide who the next president is. Because there isn't 270 on this map, it's now not possible. And that's when the vote goes to the House of Representatives.
I mean, that's basically worst case scenario.
This is worst case scenario. And I don't do this to scare you. I do this because I want you to be aware of the kind of shenanigans that they're going to try to pull. I firmly believe they're going to try to do this. I don't know if they can. Thankfully, I know somebody who's a lawyer. Hey, Goddess Granny?
Mm-hmm.
How possible do you think what I just said is...
Okay. Yeah, this is something I've been wanting to say for a while, and I didn't say it in the other stream only because of the lag and how much difficulty there was with the communication. But
sure,
I saw a live broadcast. I don't know whether it was a press conference or if it was just a live stream, but it was Doug Jones. And if you don't know who Doug Jones is a former senator of Alabama, one of the few Democratic senators that's been elected in Alabama. And the thing that brought him to fame was that he is the one who finally won the case to bring down Frank Cherry, who was responsible for the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in 1964. But he was not able to do that until 20 years later because the FBI had classified the confession that Cherry made to a friend in a bar. Anyway, so that's who Doug Jones is.
Okay.
He's a brilliant attorney. He's a prosecutor, and he knows courtroom law. He did a press conference where he talked about what is going on, and this was a week ago. He said, "We know exactly what the Trump team is looking at doing to try to steal this election. We have lawyers in place in every state ready to fight any kind of shenanigans.
Mhm.
We have lawsuits, and amicus briefs, and everything is all ready to file the moment that something happens, just like this scenario. So
Yep.
the answer to your question is, this has been prepared for,
Yep.
and I really do believe in the process.
I do too, and I'm. That's why I wanted to pass it off to you, because I want to say unequivocally, which I didn't say in that thread because I was trying to drum up people's emotions and get them to comment on it. Yes, I don't think that it's going. I don't think that they're going to be successful at it.
I agree.
There was a court case that was decided just today where some electors in, I want to say it was Georgia. It's in the Discord, so I'm looking it up right now. Think it was in Georgia. Oh, I put it in the presidential election thread instead of stream notes. I'm sorry. No, people put so much stuff in here now that I can't find it. It was one of Mark E. Elias's, who's an absolute patriot. Anyway, it was an order to the electors that said that they couldn't not
Certify their elections.
certify their elections if they don't like it.
I'm pretty sure it was Georgia because you had Trump call out
Yes.
3 of that board by name at a rally.
I found it.
Trump
I found it. I'm going
also
to share it for you guys. So.
pointed out, his little secret plan with the House, because his brain is turning to mush.
It is.
But, he basically said the quiet part out loud on more than one occasion for what
Right.
they're going to try to do. But we learned a lot from 2020 and the attempted coup that happened in 2020. And so the true patriots, the true Americans that love our country and, our foundational principles and democracy and the rule of law, as Gigi said, they are standing in the wings ready to fight for our democracy. So there is a plan in place, even if that worst case comes to pass. It's not going to be over until that process goes through, and they are as prepared for it as they possibly can be.
Exactly. And that's why I brought this up, because even though you see this is Joyce, it was Joyce Aline who shared it. It wasn't Marky Elias. That's why I couldn't find it at first. A Georgia judge slapped down a second request by a GOP official in Fulton County to set up a scenario where she could refuse to certify election results or interfere in other ways. They are trying over and over again. And that's why when I say they're going to try again, I say that because they've already tried multiple times. So I don't say it to scare you unnecessarily, but I also say it because I wanted to talk about what's happening to protect our institutions. Gigi, I'd love your feedback on this.
Okay, first, as much as the current SCOTUS is very conservative and is mostly Trump appointees or appointees by Bush, I can't even remember who all appointed, but anyway, despite that, there have been some rulings that have come from the court that have been showing them to be quite reasonable. Not all of them. Some of them have been very unreasonable. but some of them have been surprisingly reasonable considering the makeup of the court. And one of the safeguards of the court is the fact that they are appointed for life. They have nothing to fear with Trump coming after them trying to get their jobs because he can't do it, if they rule against him. And we have seen time and again, even in the lower courts, even judges that Trump could go after deciding against him. All those lawsuits that he filed over the 2020 election, he lost every single one of them.
Every single one, except one that extended some hours at a polling place. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of those were by conservative Republican judges. And so I do have faith that the courts will not, completely upend our Constitution. They came close with the decision that the president has absolute immunity for, anything he does in office, which was completely bonkers.
It's atrocious.
Yeah, that has got to be overruled. It's going to take a while, but that has got to be overruled.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because just the idea, the absolute bonkers idea that any president, that anyone ever could have a scenario where they could break the law legally, or not even break the law, but avoid the law legally, is against not just American law, but the idea of common law, which, like, our law is based on ancient theories, like ancient Syrian theories and stuff, of the fact that laws are the underpinning of government. And as soon as you have someone outside of that, then you don't have a system of law anymore. You have a system of control, which is different than a system of law.
Right, right.
And it only gets worse. Government, the Federalist Papers, one of the things they talk about that I'll never forget, I always think about this. I think it was Madison's paper, one of Madison's papers, where he talked about the Senate being a vortex, and or Congress being a vortex that would slowly suck in the other two branches and take power, because it's so powerful that one of the things it needs are levers of stoppage. You need to make sure that legislation isn't easy to pass. And that's why the Senate was a brake on the House of Representatives. Like, that was from the same theory, that the Senate was a more deliberative body than the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives could produce bills very fast, but the Senate would be very deliberative and very slow. And that would keep what they didn't want is they didn't want every 2 or 4 years a new government that changed all the laws constantly, because that would break our institutions. The law needed to be deliberative, and it was why they wanted the judiciary to not only base precedent on U.S. president, but can also pull from English common law and that stuff. Of course, Gigi, I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying it for the benefit of the audience. You probably know 10 billion times more about this than I ever will.
Not necessarily.
But that's the theory, that you didn't want the legislative body to become this vortex that sucked in the other branches. And that's why there was a Supreme Court that was set up, which of course is not in the Constitution. It was set up later. But and the circuits of the courts and all that stuff was all out of judicial review. But I'd love your thoughts on, like, expanding a little bit more on the institutions themselves and why they're so strong.
The strength of the institutions comes entirely from the Constitution. The Constitution is what balances them.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to comment on before you got to your question, I still want to make a comment, is,
Oh, sure.
If Trump were to win the election, under that new Supreme Court ruling, Biden could refuse to leave, and there isn't a thing anyone could do about it. It would be completely legal. It'd be an official act.
That's a really good point, because I remember, I don't know if I said this on Twitter, if I said this on a stream, but I remember when there were all these theories of, oh, he wasn't going to leave, he wasn't going to leave. And I was like, well, the thing is that presidents are not elected for life. They're elected for terms.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so what would have happened on January 21st, 2020, if Trump had decided not to leave, it was that he just wouldn't have been president anymore.
They would. Well, he would have been bodily removed by the Secret Service.
That's what I'm saying. Like at that point, he couldn't have told the Secret Service, take your hands off of me, because they'd be like, well, you're just a guy now.
Right. Right.
So you're
But
not the commander in chief.
Yeah. Yeah. But it would be we would have another constitutional crisis like Marbury versus Madison if Biden were to refuse to leave.
I'm so sorry. I have some breaking news. The Maryland right to abortion looks as it's going to pass. So Maryland has now enshrined a right to abortion, 74 to 26%, with 51% in. So I just wanted
That's good for them.
That is
like, hey, even if we couldn't get it in Florida, protecting reproductive rights for anyone is a good thing.
I want to go over to chat because we've been ignoring them for a while. Trish says the Michigan Supreme Court is now blue. That's very good. Also, Trish, hi, good to see you. That's what I had to tell my husband last night. He's really worried they're going to be successful with their shenanigans. That's why I wanted to bring this up. It wasn't. A lot of people took my thread on Twitter as I was trying to scare them. I wasn't trying to scare anybody. I was trying to prepare everyone and give us, because I knew we were going to have this stream tonight, and I knew that Gigi and I wanted to talk with someone with actual law experience about, what's going on. So I do apologize for everybody that got scared, but it's content for the show, guys. Go ahead.
Along the lines of what you were saying, and what I brought up about what Biden could legally do now is, Trump is now saying he never should have left.
Yes.
And that's the thing that absolutely baffles me, and I just cannot wrap my head around, is he can say anything, absolutely anything, and nothing will tick off his base.
I mean, he said it himself. He said, I could
shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes.
I wasn't going to use that word because I wasn't going to use that word, but that is what he said.
I mean, it's a direct quote, and we're not on TikTok.
That's true. April says Biden said he would never take advantage of the immunity ruling. He did say that.
Right. Yeah. And I know he won't. I know he would not do that.
No.
You're absolutely right.
Because unfortunately, the Democrats play by the rules.
Right.
Unfortunately. I mean, it's good because we want laws and we want them to be respected by the societal contract. But in a case like this, where you have one side that will bend and break the rules, like just because it's a Tuesday, and the other side is like, no, we need to stay firm to the institutions and we need to follow the law and do it the right way. You're basically showing up to a race with one foot tied behind your back, so it sucks. It's frustrating too. Like, again, it's good that they want to follow the laws, but when you're not on the same playing field because one side is doing some crazy shit and the other side is like, no, we got to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a video in December of 2019, and I believe it's still up on the channel. If I did take it down, I will restore it. But what I said was that Biden was the worst candidate in the field. And at the time he was. He was, at the time, he was a guy who was famous for his gaffes, for things that he had said. He'd run for president several times. He hadn't won. And I saw him as a weak candidate in the field that had people like Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, people who I thought were stronger candidates to go up against a Trump. What I didn't predict was how the African-American community would break for him in the South. I was wrong. I was 100% wrong, and I will always admit to you guys when I get something wrong. I'm not 100% right all the time. I wish I was. My dog thinks I am, but he's literally the only one.
I mean,
Um,
it doesn't help that, you had Bloody Tuesday where a bunch of people decided to drop out and endorse Biden to kind of
right,
help
right.
give the boost.
I even liked Pete Buttigieg more than I liked Biden at the time. I will say, since he has been, sorry, I
Transportation
thought they
secretary.
announced something. They didn't announce something. They were just showing something. I apologize. Since he's been president, I will say he has been far more progressive than I predicted him to be. And he's the most progressive president of my lifetime. And this will confuse a lot of people that don't understand history. He's the most progressive president since Nixon. I'm just going to leave that out there because it's absolutely true. And if you don't know anything about Nixon, you'll find that
Oh, but
really,
it's
really
also
confusing.
rage bait too,
It
like
is rage
that.
bait, but it's absolutely true. He is the most since. Okay, let me go through these. We got Trish didn't scare me. I know we've got lawyers all over the place prepared for this crap. I know. But again, remember we're also live on Twitter right now, where I have like 21,000 followers, and I can see the numbers. They're in and out. They're not here all the time, but just in case.
And unfortunately, there are people that are scared because
There are.
they aren't, while they pay attention to politics, they're not the low information voters that basically just vote based on vibes, which is why it is so damn close, because one side has a cult and also people just voting based on vibes and not policy, not
I'm sorry.
realizing that.
I'm sorry.
Go
Real
ahead.
quick, Trump has been projected to win Ohio. That's it. Keep going.
Okay. So, like, not realizing that, their social security, their disability, funding for their kids' schools, like just prices in general, if they do across the board tariffs, like banning corn and, taking away reproductive health care rights. Like, there are so many things that would be terrible. And they don't realize it because they don't actually pay attention to policy. Like, and not to put my grandmother on blast, but I mean, she's no longer with us, but she voted one time in her life for JFK
Really?
because she thought he was handsome.
Mm.
That's it. So it's one of those things, like, she didn't care about politics. She didn't pay attention to any of it. And honestly, considering what she survived coming here from Germany, well, technically Lithuania, but, from being put in Germany in World War II and coming to the US, I don't blame her for not really wanting to think about any of the back and forth or any of that.
Um,
But
real,
it was
real
like,
quick. So sorry. Real quick. New York has also passed a law that will enshrine abortion
I mean, that's
protection.
not a surprise at
Not a
all, to be
surprise.
honest.
Just first time
Yeah,
I've
no,
seen
we
some.
were expecting that.
Yeah, but keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of voters are essentially the low information voters, that they might see a political ad here or there, or they might hear like bumper sticker slogans, and it is all based on vibes. And it's unfortunate because those are the ones that really make up the bulk of the electorate, sadly. And then again, you've got like the diehard cultists that will wear a maxi pad on their ear and like dress up as trash for Halloween and wear diapers to rallies. Just the TFGs, the too far gones.
Right.
So you've got all of that, and that's the reason why this is so close and why it wasn't a
Real quick.
400
I'm
blowout.
gonna step in. I'm sorry. CNN is now saying that there are about 1.5 million votes still to be counted in Georgia. So keep that in mind. There's still a lot of
That's a
votes
lot
to
of
be counted.
that's a lot
So,
of votes.
yep. There were one of the things that I was not talking about on TikTok. I haven't talked about until now because they're just reports and they're very hard to verify. All I can say for sure is that there have been a lot of violent threats in Georgia tonight. I will not say which ones are which. What I can confirm is that they have happened and that some polling places have had their time extended because those polling places were closed due to threats of violence. And I will not talk about specific ones or where they were or what they were beyond what I've just said. So keep going, Kitty.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was basically going off on a rant, but unfortunately, there are those like lowest information voters that it's just vibes. Then there are the ones that are more informed. They are paying attention to things and they have an idea of like policies and what people are into, and what they vote on. Like my sister, she's not as policy wonk as me. Like she didn't read all of Project 2025, but she did read the bullet points for it. And so she knows what's in it. And she pays attention to these things, and she's scared. My niece
Right.
is scared. You know,
Of
my
course.
niece is 14 years old and, you know, she's terrified. And I don't blame her. I'm doing my best to try to comfort her, you know, but it's scary being in a red state that doesn't care about you. Like my niece's best friend is a trans boy. Like,
Real quick, I just more about the vote. Only about 115,000 of the early vote is in so far in Pennsylvania. The next dump is expected shortly before midnight. It will be heavily Democratic. We don't know how much. Again, just want to keep people's expectations. Don't expect to see a Pennsylvania vote, you know, within the next couple of hours.
and with Georgia, there's currently only about 200,000 votes separating them, and with more than 1 million to count, that
Yeah,
we
1.5
can
million
still get
to count.
Georgia. Yeah, we
Right,
can
so-
still get blue Georgia.
Right.
So, you know, like we won't know for a while. But I mean, the reason why I wanted to do this stream is
Oh, I'm so
one,
sorry. Real quick before we get to that. I'm so sorry. In Maryland, Angela Also Brooks has defeated Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan will be defeated in Maryland. Angela Also Brooks, the Democrat, has won. So very good news. Very good news. So why you wanted to do this stream? You were about to say.
Sorry, I missed the good news because I was swapping my AirPod over because it died.
Oh, Angela Also Brooks defeated Larry Hogan.
Oh, that is good news.
Yes, in Maryland.
Yeah. So where was I? I was. Right. Why I wanted to do this stream. One, because you and I are both policy wonks. You and I have definitely been paying very close attention to everything going on leading up to this election. So we can have meaningful discussion about it. And for the people that are worried, that are scared, I want to try to reassure them, but also give them a place where they can see us discussing these things and just not freaking out. Because
Yep.
while I am anxious, while I'm nervous, I'm not panicking yet. And that's what I told my sister. I was like, you know, it's not time to panic. It is not time to panic yet. Like nothing has been a surprise so far. Like we're where we expected things to be.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you saw the map I showed you a few minutes ago of what I projected.
Absolutely.
I'm right about every single state that's been called so far. The AP has released an update on North Carolina. So Trump is leading Harris by roughly 4 percentage points, with more than half the expected votes counted. Many of the state's most populous counties haven't reported significant numbers of votes cast in person or before Election Day. In North Carolina, votes cast before Election Day make up 83% of the total votes in 2020 and 58% in 2022. So there's, again, what I'm telling you guys is that there's still a lot of votes to be counted. I wouldn't expect anything significant in the next couple of hours, at least. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, still too close to call. Still, you know, literally there's millions of votes still to count. So,
In 8 minutes, polls close in all of the West or only some of the West?
you know what? Actually, I've got that. Let's look at, I've got the actual, remember I put the map up and was it you who said it was too confusing? I think it was you who said it was too confusing. Hold on. No, it wasn't you. It was like April or something. Let's see. Let me add that and we can take a look at all of that. Okay, so poll closing times. Let me make this a little bit bigger for people. There we go. Poll closing times in, let's see, it's 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. is the dark. So we've got Montana, Idaho, Nevada, and Utah. And then at 11 p.m. we'll have Washington, Oregon, California, and then at 12 we'll have Alaska. So remember, you know, California obviously is going to be blue. That's going to be
Right.
huge.
And
Oregon and Washington
as
will
well.
too.
Like
Right.
Kamala's going to get a huge jump of electoral votes.
Right, when the
from
West
those
Coast comes
three
in.
states.
So
Right.
yeah, just you got to keep that in mind. And, Nevada we don't know. Nevada, last time it took weeks to get the count out of Nevada. So we don't know when we're going to have Nevada, and it's probably not going to be anytime soon. It's definitely not going to be tonight, is my point. We're not going to get anything out of Nevada, or probably Arizona for that matter. Oh, it was Ascalon that said it was bizarre. That's who said it was bizarre. Okay, I do want to get back to chat. So let me get this removed. But I've got it saved again, so if we need to look at it, we can. Unplug says, I don't think this election will go to the courts as they did last election. I think there'll be a clear winner by tomorrow morning. I don't know that it'll be tomorrow morning. It kind of depends on, Pennsylvania promised that they were going to count a lot faster this time. And, whichever candidate gets Pennsylvania is highly likely to then go on and win the election.
Yep.
So it depends. If we get that Pennsylvania vote in the next 2 hours and it's Trump or it's Harris, that's probably how the election is going to end up. Pennsylvania is going to be a huge state. Trish says, yes, and Dems are seen as having no backbones. I don't think it's necessarily backbones. I think Democrats are a lot more worried about legacy than the GOP is. That's the difference between conservative and liberal thinking a lot of the times, because conservatives are much more about in the moment and what's happening right now in front of me. What can I do right now to change things, in a way that I would want? That's why conservatives are the ones that, want to get involved in your life. They want to make sure that you can't make your own healthcare decisions if you have a uterus. They want to make sure that, kids can't make their own decisions about, gender, their own gender affirming decisions, because they're very worried about the moment. A liberal mindset tends to be more about legacy, about the next generation, about what's best long term. And it's just a difference in thinking. I'm not saying that either one is good or bad. There are some decisions that I make that are more conservative. There's some decisions that I make that are more liberal. But that's one of the big differences in mindset between liberals and conservatives. And conservatives aren't that worried about, could this decision break this institution and make things harder on the future? Well, they don't usually typically care about that.
Especially if it's in their benefit, like when Mitch McConnell decided not to hold a hearing for Merrick Garland and essentially held a seat vacant for the next president, which contributed to Trump being able to seat 3 Supreme Court justices.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some news out of Georgia. Fani Willis, who's the prosecutor pursuing election interference case against Donald Trump, just won re-election. So,
that's brilliant.
That is good news. Okay, let's keep going.
We're still within 200,000 votes in Georgia with a bunch more to count. So, could still turn blue. Absolutely.
Georgia's going to be a bit. We're not even worried about Georgia right now. Unplug says Bernie should have been the Dem candidate the past 2 elections. Superdelegates gave it to Biden and Clinton. Yeah,
Bernie would have won.
At this point, rehashing 2016 at this point, it's like, yeah. I think the problem was Democrats in the establishment were not ready for populism in the way that Bernie presented it. Bernie's a populist. I mean, that's why progressives like me like him, because we're populists. We like the working people. We want individual liberty. And
strong unions.
We want higher wages. We want universal health care. Right. Like the things that are good for working people are the things that we want. And I think, especially in 2016, there was still this feeling that was too far left and it couldn't win in a general election.
I think Bernie was ahead of his time and people just weren't ready for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Bernie would have been the new FDR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
He would have been able to get a lot of working class Republicans to vote for him.
Yeah. I would say the same thing about Al Gore. I think Al Gore was a far more populist candidate than the electorate was ready for in 2000.
I mean, just look at the way the planet is burning,
Yeah,
and he was raising the alarms about climate change back then. I
right.
I will stay on this hill that in 2000 was when we got bumped to the bad timeline where
It
Bush
feels like it,
won.
right? With
Because
the
like if Gore had won, we would be having an entirely different conversation right now.
oh,
You would have
absolutely.
never seen the rise of Trumpism,
Yep.
none
Nine
of that would have
eleven.
happened. Nine
Yeah.
eleven wouldn't have happened. Like
Yep.
so many things would be different if Gore, and he did, like when they did the recounts and everything after the fact, he would have won, had it not been for the shenanigans. And that was when we shifted to the bad timeline. And I'm hoping that Kamala's win, especially with Tim Walz, who I adore, I followed him for a while with all he's done in Minnesota with a 1-seat majority. Like
Right.
the man's brilliant. And he is very much the salt of the earth kind of person that I appreciate. Someone that is like, we want to take care of our people and we want to do what's right. And someone who will admit when he was wrong, and is open to changing his mind. Case in point, he used to have a very, high rating with the NRA. And then
Sure.
Sandy Hook happened. And
Right.
he reevaluated his stance after that. And, he's not anti Second Amendment by any stretch. Like he's a hunter, a marksman, but common sense regulations to help keep people safe. And
Right.
he admitted that, hey, I needed to change my views. And I have so much respect for somebody willing to say I was wrong or I've evolved on an issue. The biggest problem with Donald Trump is he will never admit to being wrong, ever.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
he tweets out Kamabla and instead or Kofefe, and instead of saying, "Oh yeah, I fell asleep while I was tweeting,"
Right.
just having a
He
laugh,
just rolls with it. Right.
he rolls with it, and then it becomes some cue thing. But I mean, I think that for someone to be a good leader, not only do they need to be able to be open minded to changing their mind when presented with new facts, also admitting when they are wrong. And I would even go so far as to say to kind of like laugh at yourself sometimes. You can't take yourself too
Yeah.
seriously.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 I totally agree. I
Hey, I
totally
don't,
agree.
uh, Key Angel, I do not blame you for that. That was me in 2016.
Right.
Well, actually, it was me in 2020. In 2016, so funny story for that one. In
Mhm.
2016, I did not sleep for a couple of days leading up to the election. I kept repeating the mantra, he's only got a narrow path to victory. Hillary's got this, it's going to be fine. And I didn't sleep for 2 or 3 days before the election. I cast my vote, and I'm sitting on the couch in the living room watching as the election results come in.
I'm sorry.
And I
I'm sorry. Real quick, Kristen Gillibrand is projected to have won her race for New York Senate. I'm sorry. So she will
okay,
be
awesome.
reelected. Yep.
And then I fell asleep on the couch before they called Florida in 2016, and I woke up at like the crack of dawn, and it was very foggy outside. I thought that I had woken up in Silent Hill. Because the TV was still on and I saw the Chiron, President-elect Trump, and I'm like, no, what? And I felt like somebody like died. I'm not even I was in mourning because the country was not the place that I thought it was
Right.
having elected him, and it was devastating to me. And in 2020, yeah, no, I tore into some wine. I got so sick from it too because I can't drink alcohol without getting sick, but I didn't really care. I just was miserable in 2020. But we came out on that okay. And domestic policy wise, Biden's been brilliant. I have some massive disagreements on foreign policy with him, but I do have
Sure.
agreements with him on foreign policy. So, all in all, I don't really have, other than one or two major issues, as a general collective, Biden was great. Beefing up the NLRB, the Chips and Science Act, the PACT Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, so many good things domestically that he's done, getting us out of Afghanistan, he pretty much stopping the drone war, the
Yep.
drone strikes. So he did so many good things. And even if he had to be strong armed by Nancy Pelosi, I will forever have respect for him even giving us this chance, because if he didn't drop out, we would be having a very different conversation right now.
Yep.
And one thing to
We
keep in
didn't have a
mind,
prayer.
right? And one thing to keep in mind about Michigan, the Michigan Supreme Court did flip blue, which is a very good sign that Kamala Harris is going to win Michigan. So just something to keep in mind. Just something to keep in mind. Spackle says I blame Uni. Yeah. Drinking takes the edge off sometimes. Sure. Eric says, if you actually thought an unelected black woman who placed last in her primary was going to beat Trump, you were in a bubble. Okay. You know that she was elected like several times to different. It's fine. It's fine. Sure, she was an unelected black woman. George is going Trump. Okay. Well, that's not true. Yeah, unplug. You're going to get me off on a rant. I need to do a whole thing. That's a whole other stream about superdelegates because I agree with you, but I think it's something that really needs to be delved into. That's not something that, you know, I don't want to give like little off the cuff kind of answers. The short answer is yes, I agree. I don't like the superdelegate system. I don't like any of those. Like, I don't like the filibuster either for very similar reasons. Because I think I don't like, I know we live in a representative democracy or constitutional republic, however you want to say it. They're literally the same thing. But there are some pieces and parts of our party system that I would like to see change. And one of them would be the elimination of superdelegates and the elimination of PACs, of certain PACs too. So, Gigi, what do you think about superdelegates?
What are superdelegates again?
The superdelegates are the ones that have more of a vote than the other delegates.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know enough about it to really have an opinion, but
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Sorry.
fair. It's okay. Well, there's a whole other in the primaries. Yeah, it's specifically in the primaries.
Yeah.
We'll
the primary.
Oh, okay.
let's say
I will
Eric.
say
Yeah,
we
we
need to
already
get rid of
we
the
already said
electoral
that.
college. You know, I don't like the electoral college. I think as a country we have surpassed the need for it. In fact, I would argue we never needed it because, you know, it's one of the holdovers from slavery and the 3/5 compromise and all those fun things from our history. Like, it should just be a straight popular vote, in my opinion.
Right.
But in order to
Hold
completely
on. Let me
abolish it,
quick timeout. I have to use the bathroom, so you're going to see me scuttle away. But keep talking. I'll be right back.
I got it. So I would love to see the electoral college be abolished. However, that would take a constitutional amendment.
Yep.
Or there would technically be a way around it if the states were to decide, because the Constitution does allow for states to decide how they choose their electors. You could have a compact between the states, but it would need congressional approval because states can't enter into compacts with each other without the approval of Congress. But it would at least be a way around it without needing to actually go through the process of, you know, ratifying an amendment to the Constitution. And we need ranked choice voting as well. That way it allows for more than just a two-party duopoly where it's just, okay, which one of these two are we going to vote for? And it makes it so that third-party candidates are just not viable in a national election. But what are your thoughts, Gigi, on the Electoral College? And
I agree with you that it is time to get rid of the electoral college, but yeah, it's going to be nearly impossible. I mean, we tried to pass a equal rights amendment for women, and we couldn't do that. And that's not as controversial as getting rid. Although, on the other hand, is there anyone that actually likes the electoral college?
I would say only the Republicans that know they would not win a national presidential election
that's
without
true.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same reason why, you know, all these people are like, oh, we need to make DC and Puerto Rico states. I mean, I agree with you, but it's not going to happen because the Republicans know if PR and DC were states that they would elect Democrats and they would
Like, even
lose.
throw in Guam and American Samoa and, you know, same
Sure.
thing, you know?
Sure, it'd be the same thing, and they would elect Democratic representatives and Democratic governors and Democratic state legislatures, and the Republicans just aren't going to let all that happen, because then it would be very difficult for them to, excuse me, to have any kind of power. Oh my God, any kind of power moving forward. I'm choking to death.
And they already see, I honestly do believe that the reason why the Republicans are trying so much fuckery with this election and why they even hitched their wagon to Trump in the first place is because Trump is a cult leader. I firmly believe that. You know, you're free to disagree, but they knew that like the core of their base are Kool-Aid drinkers. They are all in on Trump, so they hitch their wagon to him, hoping that they can push through these things, like, you know, changing some of the rules, and you know they want to get Project 2025 and like the unitary executive theory, like they want to get all of that in because they can see that the tide is turning, just like how a lot of younger people are leaving the church because of their antiquated views on, you know, same-sex couples, queerness in general. They need to actually change with the times, and they don't want to do that.
Yep.
So if you can't bring yourself to change with the times, what do? You rig things in your favor. And
Right.
that's what they're doing. And that's why they are trying to like shoehorn Trump in. And I get, honestly, hear me now, quote me later, if he wins, they will 25th Amendment him.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
will use him to get their foot in the door, and then they will yeet him from that position.
Oh yeah, within 6
I don't know
months.
about that. I really honestly think that if Trump gets his foot in the door, he's going to make himself dictator for life. I mean, look at the people that he's been studying. He's been studying Putin. He's been studying Kim Jong-un. And he's already told us that. He's told us he's going to be a dictator on day one. He's told us that, you know, he's not going to abide by the Constitution. He's told us that you will never have to vote again. You know, he's told us throughout this election that if he is elected, that's it. He plans to stay for life.
I do have a quick call. NBC is projecting Kamala Harris for Colorado. I mean, not a surprise.
Not a surprise.
Just
I will say, and not to, you know, Godwin's Law, the stream or anything, but
Sure.
I mean, Adolf was elected democratically.
He was, and then appointed chancellor. Yep.
And that is another thing, you know, that they're looking at. And, you know, and continuing with your point, Kelly, yeah, and if Supreme Court ruling of any official act is, you know, immune from any prosecution, then what's to stop him from legitimately sending a drone strike or SEAL Team 6 to take out Democratic leadership and then essentially strong arming and scaring the, you know, Congress into just rubber stamping whatever he wants?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That would be the worst case.
I have another quick projection that President Harris will win New Hampshire. So there you go.
Again, not a surprise.
Not a surprise, but
New England strong, baby.
We're hoping to flip it, and I just, you know.
Hey,
so we got
it's
Colorado, we
excellent
got New
news.
Hampshire.
So far, the Republicans have not taken any states that they, you know, haven't taken in the past. Like they haven't flipped any states blue. So
we've been broadcasting for a little over an hour, so I just wanted real quick, just want to say thanks to my supporters, Angry Rat, who supports me over on Ko-Fi, Twitch, Holy Spackle, and of course, Azrael, Miss Kitty. Want to thank you all for your support. I'm supposed to be doing that every hour, and I forgot, but I do want to say thank you very much. Let me get back to the stream.
Because you're very bad at promoting yourself. You like doing the streams and making the content, but you don't have the ego required to shill your own stuff.
Right. I don't. The Electoral College became obsolete the moment the telegraph was invented. Yeah.
I mean, not wrong.
You're not wrong. You know, I would much prefer a first past the poll system, you know, at the national level. I think that it would also allow third parties to be more relevant, which is one of the reasons why you'll never see the Republicans or the Democrats favor a first past the poll, because it would I guess, mitigate the influence of both parties. But
I want ranked choice.
Or ranked choice. Yeah, I'd be fine with that too. Anything that's more popular vote based than Electoral College. But as Godless Grandma already articulated in ways that I probably couldn't, there's, the chances of that happening are not less than
Not
zero.
great.
Yeah, less than zero.
Because the power structure and the power incentive, it's one of the reasons why you won't see the people whose pockets, people in government and Congress whose pockets are lined with big dollar donors money, because of decisions like Citizens United, where, speech is money is speech, which I'm sorry, no, corporations aren't people and money's not speech.
Right.
That's just wild. But we have so many loopholes and ways to essentially have legal bribery in this country. And then you still see the guys that, like oh, what was it? Menendez? I think the Democrat that had like the gold bars sewn into his jacket is like, there's so many legal ways to get bribed by rich people and corporations, and you still had to be so extra that you actually broke what few finance laws we actually have. Like, it's wild to me.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Bob Menendez, I think.
I'm watching the analyzation of some numbers in Pennsylvania, which are Harris is showing in several counties that she's about where Clinton was in several of these counties in 2020.
Well, right now there's a 70,000. According to AP, there's only a 70,000 difference between the two, right? Well, 74,000
Roughly,
votes.
yeah.
So, and, only half reporting. It's a pretty populous state. So, like, there's still plenty of time to make up for.
Oh, there's
that.
There's tons of time. And remember, a bunch of the polling places had their times extended because there were some shenanigans.
Some violence.
Yes, there were some shenanigans in Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a bit. There's not much else to say about it. Unplugged says all the battleground states are currently in Trump's favor except Michigan right now. They're going to call Georgia and NC for Trump in the next 16 minutes. Okay. Well, maybe you're right. I don't know. Kai says, just to throw it out there, SEAL Team 6, as well as every other member of the military, swore an oath to the Constitution, not the country, or anything else. Kai, I am not one of those ones that's too worried about the military under Trump doing something drastic. I think that the military is made up of a lot of people who wouldn't just blindly follow a dictator to do dangerous things to Americans.
However, because it is made up of people, all it would take would be a few that are, Kool-Aid drinkers, like full-on TFGs, to do a lot of damage.
But I don't believe that a lot of the lower ranked people in the military would be willing to do that to their own people. I don't. I don't.
I mean, I lost a lot of hope in humanity a while ago, so I will defer to you on this one and let your hope shine through.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think that there's. I would some members of the military probably, but I don't think that the military is a non-monolithic structure of people that there's just a bunch of people that be like, no, I'm not going to just go kill Americans because this doofus says that I should. I don't believe it. So, Trish, I don't either. I don't know. Neither would surprise me on Georgia. Biden wanted a very razor-thin margin. It was exceedingly close. Remember, 11,780 votes. That's what he asked for. He said, I need 11,780 votes. That's what he said on the phone call. So remember that was the margin that he lost by. It was exceedingly close in Georgia in 2020. So,
and there most likely will be recounts because it will likely be very, very close.
It will be very, very close.
The recounts they did in Arizona that Trump demanded ended up finding that Biden won it by a larger margin than they actually thought originally. So that backfired spectacularly for Trump.
Right.
But
so, that's what I'm saying.
It's not over.
Harris just took the lead in Arizona. we're counting the votes. So I don't know which way everything is going to go. My overall feeling is that Harris will be our next president, that she will win. I felt like that for a while because of the gender gap. It has been significant in early voting, significant 3 to 4% nationally, which is more than enough to win.
Also, I would say, Harris, has the achievements of Biden domestically
Right.
that, help. And Tim Walz is, again, a salt of the earth working class guy. And he
Right.
has working class appeal for the people feeling left behind. And she's actually put out policies and demonstrated how they would help. And Nobel laureate economists have come out and said that no, we'd be headed for a recession, if not depression, if Trump wins and institutes the policies he wants to. So,
One of the things
I'm hopeful.
one of the things that I find bonkers is so many of the people who do support Trump do so because they think he would be better for the economy. And yet Musk has told them point blank, if Trump is elected, get ready for hardship.
Yes.
He's not going to fix this. He's going to make it worse.
Right. Well,
And he told you so.
what Musk wants is to replace the dollar with crypto, which I literally work in finance for a living. Literally, my job is to help people set up their retirement accounts. And I can say unequivocally, as an expert on finance and retirement, it's literally what I do for my job. Crypto is a scam. It's terrible. Run away from it. Stay away from it. The idea that it could be that you would replace the US dollar with crypto, I've seen it in a lot of online spaces. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels and stuff that talk about it. The damage is incalculable.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, because you would literally,
You'd bankrupt the country.
you'd bankrupt not just our country. There's so many things that are pinned to the US dollar, including oil. Like, you're going to pin oil to Bitcoin? Like, it's the dumbest idea. It's completely insane. But that's one of the things they want to try to make happen, is to get rid of physical currency and turn it all into digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he saw what Milei did in Argentina and is like, yeah, let's do that, but
Yeah.
bigger and worse. Like, all gas, no brakes. Let's just completely destroy the U.S. economy.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really bad idea. Okay, we already talked about this, but Angela Alsobrooks won her Senate race in Maryland, which is good for the Dems. They are now projecting that Ted Cruz did win in Texas.
Ew.
Yeah, it's too bad. One of my
Like I
favorite
said, I
things
wasn't
about
a huge fan of Allred, but I was really hoping to send Cruz packing.
yeah, one of my favorite quotes about Ted Cruz is from Al Franken. He said, I like Ted Cruz more than most of my colleagues do, and I hate Ted Cruz.
I don't understand how Iowa could be called for Trump. Like, according to the AP, only 39% of precincts are reporting in, and there's only a 40,000 difference in votes between them.
I don't know.
Yeah, someone in the chat said Iowa was called for Trump, but I mean,
Oh, was it?
AP doesn't show it.
AP doesn't show it. It only
Yeah.
shows 39% reporting.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Pete Ricketts, the Republican in Nebraska, has won his Senate race. The other Senate race, which is Independent Osborne up against Fisher, who's the Republican incumbent, is still too early to call. So 41% of the vote is in Nebraska, and they have not called that race between Osborne and Fisher.
Wow, there's a 0.4% difference between them in Wisconsin right now.
Okay, NBC News has now called Iowa for Trump.
Okay.
So that is just that was 22 seconds ago. So
that's wild, considering the CNN and AP are saying that less than 50% reporting in.
Jackie Rosen, the Democrat in Nevada, is projected to win her Senate race. So that's a plus for the Dems.
No, Trish, I appreciate you pointing it out. Like I said, I'm just looking at a couple different electoral maps, and again, it's saying, only like less than half. Like as of a
Yeah,
minute ago, less than half
like
the vote
Unplugged
is
said, it's based on so county trends. So
Yeah.
county trend outcomes, like what stuff that's happened before. So that's how that's what the projections are off. Is well, I don't want to get too mathy, but we know what how many votes are likely in this place, and so they do and that's why they get it wrong sometimes. Remember, if you recall, in 2020, Al Gore was called, I want to say by ABC News or CBS News. It was Dan Rather, whoever it
2000,
was.
not 2020.
2000. I'm sorry. In 2000, Al Gore was projected by one of the news organizations to be that he was going to be the next president. And then it turned out that he wasn't, because it got very
Some
close in
fuckery.
Florida, and Florida ended up flipping Republican. So, yeah, they could call CA with 0% reporting. Absolutely. Like California, like Kamala Harris is going to win California. It was very funny when the Republicans were like, oh, Donald Trump could win California, and Donald Trump could win Jersey, and Donald Trump could win New York. It's like, no.
And Trump's like, if Jesus were to count the votes, I'd win California. It's like, no, you wouldn't.
No,
if
you still
Jesus
wouldn't.
were here, he would yeet you from the face of the earth, my dude.
Yeah.
No, Jesus is dead. Nothing would happen.
Right.
But okay, just real quick, like the party of family values are the ones that are fine with kids getting, draxed in school. They're fine with kids going hungry. They're fine with, malpractice done against trans kids. They're fine with children being forced to carry children, and birth children. You know, but like why? Like how can they still claim to be family values, or pro-life when they're fine with the death penalty? Like it boggles the mind, and they still try to say, "Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. If Jesus were here, he would be like a Bernie crat, okay? Like
Oh, sure.
he would absolutely be a populist, and he would be a progressive, and he would be trying to better the lives of people." And this is coming from me, an atheist,
Right.
But like it boggles the mind that they will try to use Christianity to justify their horrendous views when it's like, the way you have treated the least of my people is how you treated me. Like, take care of the sojourner, the immigrant, feed the hungry. Like so many things like are the antithesis of what this party stands for, and yet they still wrap themselves in a shroud of religion, and it frustrates me. Okay, mini rant over.
No, I feel the exact same way. Yeah, like Spackle says, children being forced to bear children. I don't see how an evangelical could want that, based on what I know of the Bible, which I ain't no expert, but I don't understand how that could be like okay with your religion. It seems anathema to me. But I'm
If
not
God
one. So.
wanted them not to have the child, God could fix it.
Wow.
So obviously it's God's will.
I mean, and also like men who don't understand basic anatomy of a person with a uterus trying to dictate policy of, oh, if it's a legitimate case of what, then the body has ways of shutting that down. Or, could you swallow a camera to maybe like check on how a pregnancy's doing? It's like the uterus is not connected to the digestive tract, my dude. Or can't you just reimplant an ectopic pregnancy if you take it out and try to save it? It's like, no, those are non-viable, and they will drax you if you try to carry it to term.
Absolutely.
So these people have no understanding of basic human anatomy and biology, and yet they are dictating policies that lead to death and devastation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating.
If you're in Nevada and someone calls you, if you're in Clark or Washoe County, answer your phone, because it may be election officials Election officials calling to cure the defect in your mailed-in ballot. Thank you, Trish, for tagging me and let me know.
Yeah, I mean, most millennials don't answer a phone number if they don't a phone call if they don't recognize the number because we don't want to talk to people. So, like it's good to get that info out there.
Maya, if you want to come on and talk with us, just let me know. I got a spot for you.
Absolutely. It would be lovely to see our queen goddess.
Absolutely. Trish says Sarah Elfreth, I'm going to say that wrong probably. Elfreth wins election U.S. House in Maryland's 3rd congressional district.
I mean, Democrats taking the wins. We need it. We need as many Democrats housed in Congress as humanly possible because that's another thing with the fuckery that the Republicans might try this time. The House is seated and sworn in on the 3rd of January, and the president is essentially confirmed on the 6th. So if we take back control of the House, that would be brilliant. I don't know that we're going to be able to do it, but
again, a lot of these races they're just too close to call.
So tight.
It's extremely, and it was like this in 2020. It was, remember, the election wasn't called in 2020 until like Saturday.
Yeah, it was days later.
So Tim Kaine has been reelected to the Senate in Virginia. So,
I mean,
again, what I'm seeing,
personification of Mayo, but okay.
Right. What I'm seeing tonight is that I'm not surprised by anything. Everything I'm seeing is what I expected. I was hoping for a Florida flip. I was hoping for all red. I mean, I was joking about a Texas flip. I mean,
I was hopeful for a Texas flip. I'm not.
Sure, we were excited about
Lexus. So close the last couple of
sure. But
I at least wanted Cruz to be sent packing.
We wanted Cruz to be sent packing. That would have been nice. That didn't happen. Sorry, there was something up on screen that I almost brought up, but I just don't even want to talk about it. About bad things happening at polling places. Okay, that's what it is, and I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, so I'm not surprised by anything. Within the next hour or so, Josh Hawley has been reelected in Missouri, so boo, but is what it is. Again, I haven't been surprised by anything. Even like all of the early numbers, what we were talking about on TikTok earlier is the red mirage. We expect to see Trump leading ahead, whatever, and then Harris overtake him. That's what we expect to see. And this is what we're seeing right now is that Trump is up statewide in North Carolina right now. But like he's showing the numbers, the reason that they haven't called the state is that the votes that haven't come in are likely to be heavy Democratic, and it depends on how Democratic they are, whether or not she wins the state of North Carolina. It's the same in Pennsylvania, same in Georgia, same in Wisconsin, and it's the same in Michigan. And so it's like...
And Nevada.
In Nevada. Yeah. So that's fine, Mike. If you do want to come in and hang out with us, I'm just telling you, you're welcome to. But that's what we've we were talking about this earlier. If you weren't watching us on TikTok, then you don't know this. We were talking about a red mirage that we would see Trump ahead. Harris would overtake him, end up being declared the winner. And then that's when the shenanigans began, where they start saying that the election was stolen. Okay. Elon Musk just tweeted game, set, match.
And so the misinformation spreading on shitter begins.
Right. So that's what Elon Musk just tweeted. Because you're seeing Trump up right now, and like New York Times, the thing is trending his way, and this is trending his way, and this is trending his way. That's what we told you we were probably going to see, which is one of the reasons we were hoping for a Texas flip or a Florida flip, was to kind of tamp down on that stuff.
Exactly. It would have created a bit of a buffer because there are no surprises. It's going exactly as we expected. And the way we expect is still for Kamala to win.
Right.
But if there had been a pleasant surprise, or something we were hopeful for, like, a Florida or a Texas flip, then Kamala would be ahead of where Trump is right now, and it would essentially wipe out the red mirage.
And like all these stuff, like, well, she's behind Biden's numbers. Well, they're not done counting the votes, guys. Like, yeah,
takes
not
time.
all the votes been counted. So they're both behind their numbers in 2020. We gotta. Yeah, exactly, Maya. One of the candidates has a vagina. You can't hope for miracles this time around. Yes. So, you know, how much will that matter? We know that there was a gender gap. That's not, you know, we know that there was an early gender gap in early voting. We think that means, we think that that is good for Vice President Harris. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it was suburban white conservative women. We just don't know. Sorry, I totally forgot. Unplug was saying earlier that there may be a large swing among men from communities of color in the Southeast. We all of these things we're seeing, but we don't know what that means yet. So, you know,
The fat lady has not sung yet.
right. We don't have any answers yet.
But
Yeah,
mine
that's
has.
another thing, Spackle. 55 from California is coming. There are 55 electoral votes from California coming. Where were
Yeah,
you saying, Gigi?
California is huge.
Yeah. Hey guys, this has been a lot of fun, but I don't have all my steps done for the day yet, and I need to get those in before the
problem.
end of the day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thanks for
coming
hanging out with
down.
us.
Well, thank you for
Mwah.
having me. It's been a
Sure.
pleasure. And Kitty,
Fine.
it's been absolutely great seeing you again.
Well,
I
I
don't
know.
see you
We're going to
nothing.
be streaming all week, off and on. So
Okay.
I'll shoot you an invite the next time we stream if you're free.
Yeah.
Then it would be
Okay.
lovely to have you.
Sounds great.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Mhm.
Night, Kelly.
Bye.
Honestly, she is just a delight of a human being.
She really is.
So-
She's really wonderful.
I had to have emergency surgery because I had a very bad kidney stone that it actually was creating a blockage. So I had to have it surgically taken out because
Uh-huh.
like my kidney was filling with fluid.
Oh my God.
And so I was in the hospital, had the emergency surgery, and she basically was like, "Hey, do you need me to come down and help take care of you?" Like she was going to just hop in her car and drive down to take care
That's
of me. Like that
adorable.
is the
I
kind
love
of
that
person
story.
that she is.
That's
I was like,
adorable.
no. I've got people. I'm good. I don't need the help, but thank you so much. And like it meant so much. But that is the kind of person that she is. That it's like, someone has an emergency surgery and she's like, hey, it'll take me X number of hours to get to you. Let me know and I will wrap things up
sorry
here
that
and I will go.
I felt bad that we had all those technical issues on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be fun.
But you know what? It's fine. Like again, we have the rest of the week. This is not going to be fully decided tonight. There's going to be court battles. There's going to be shenanigans. There's going to be fuckery afoot.
There's going to be recounts. So
there's going to be recounts. So
um,
we will have plenty of content. So you will get to see our lovely faces
You will.
over the coming weeks. Yeah, honestly, I've been talking a lot, and I'm on my third Red Bull of the day, so I should probably drink some water too.
you should. And if you're wondering why I'm drinking out of plastic bottles, I live in Asheville and we don't have drinkable water right now. Probably won't for another 6 weeks or so.
But hydrate or unalive straight. And I would not want that.
Maya, we have talked about Arizona. Arizona. Sorry, hold on. Oh, okay. Okay. It was nothing. I misunderstood something. See, this is why I'm not just spouting things that I see. Right? I'm checking. You should too.
Yeah, misinformation is going to be rampant over the coming days. So it is
Yes.
important to check sources and don't just believe a Facebook or shitter meme.
Yes. Especially on Shitter.
Especially on shitter.
Especially on Shitter. Okay. Okay, nothing. Trump is the winner in Nebraska.
Not surprising.
Still not a surprise. We've still haven't been surprised tonight. So
So, and
we
that
didn't
is
get to see
it's
the
one of
first
those
before.
no news is good news. So the fact
Right.
that we're not surprised means that we're still on track and
Right.
things are going to be okay.
And by the way, North Carolina and Georgia being red would not be surprises. That doesn't win the election for him if both of those go red. So just letting you know, like, those
But if
wouldn't be
one of
surprises
them
either.
doesn't, then that's just even better because it will create a larger margin for her and make
Right.
it harder for the fuckery that they want to try after all the votes are counted.
Correct. Yeah, so Arizona. So, there's a map I've got on Discord. Let's see if I can grab this quick. I think I put it in here. Yeah. One of the things to keep in mind about Arizona is that the count there could take days. So I found this on the shitter. It's the shitter still has things sometimes.
I love that you're calling it that now too. Well, he wants it to be X, and X can make an S sound, so there you go. It's shitter. Like,
So this is a little map. Oh, let me get the comment out of the way because this is a little map to see when you're likely to see votes out of stuff. We expect to see North Carolina and Georgia tonight. Will we? Don't know, but we expect to. PA, probably we won't see Pennsylvania's final count tonight. We may see a projection, but we don't know. Michigan, they said they're going to count faster than they did in 2020. 2020, it took days. Wisconsin, probably we won't see something out of Wisconsin until tomorrow. Nevada last time took like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And
there was a lot of issues with Nevada last time and the counting. It was very stressful.
Right. And Arizona, same way, could take days. So, I don't want you guys to feel like not having an answer tonight is a bad thing. Last time Biden wasn't declared the winner till like that Saturday. I mean, it was days after the election, or the final day of the election,
which added fuel to the denialism fire.
Yes, because if you'll remember, Trump was ahead. Biden overtook and ended up winning, and that's where the whole thing, it was rigged, and stop the steal and stop the count and all that stuff.
Because honestly, if Trump had his way, he would essentially want to stop counting now and just say, I won.
Right. Arizona, yes. Arizona could very well go blue. Arizona could go red. Like it was extremely close. Extremely close. They're going over some stuff from 2020 now. Well, Maya, so they've made a lot of changes to the rules. Gigi was talking about this earlier, I think before you were here. They've made a lot of changes to the rules in Georgia, regarding how the count is tabulated, basically. And so it has, in their opinion, made it so that it will be faster. That all of those rule changes were made in an effort to make the count quick. Is that actually going to be the case? Well,
I mean,
right
this
now,
is the first real test of those new changes.
right,
Because it's a presidential election, and those always have higher turnout than midterms.
and not only
it's
that,
a very contested election as far as it's very polarized.
right. And like we looked at the, I'll put it back up for those who weren't here. Oh, I didn't save it. I'm sorry. There was the court case that was just decided today. A Georgia judge has slapped down a second request by a GOP official in Fulton County, that's in Georgia, a second request to set up a scenario where she could refuse to certify election results or interfere in other ways. They aren't done with the shenanigans.
Not even close.
They want lots more shenanigans. Michigan statewide, 26% in, Michigan. When are we going to see? Like, we don't know. They only have 26% of their votes in. And it's almost 11 p.m. on the East Coast, which is why I'm stretching and yawning here. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere, even though I'm tired. Because all I'm going to do is this. And I'd rather be with you guys
Misery
You know?
loves company, and if
Misery
we're going
loves
to be
company.
stressed about this all night, then we might as well be here together,
Right.
support system and all. But
Yeah,
again,
and
so
remember,
far, Red
here's another
Mirage.
thing. Somebody just posted this. I want to say this. If she wins, yes, okay. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. If she wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, it is over, and all of those are trending for her to win. Okay, all the trends seem to indicate that she's going to win all three of those: Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So just keep that in mind. That that is still what is likely. Okay, this is the red mirage. We talked about it. They talked about it on Shitter for the last year that there was going to be a red mirage on
Because
election night.
there was last time, and there was in the midterms. Like, there was
Right.
supposed to be a red wave when it was really a red trickle, and there was the red mirage, but then it dissipated as the rest of the votes were tabulated.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I don't think we're going to get the result of Georgia tonight. I just don't. They said there was 1.5 million votes still to be counted. I just don't think that they're going to get through those tonight. I just don't. I think it's going to be tomorrow at the very earliest, if not Thursday. Oh yeah, Trish. Well, good. You got company, my friend, because we're going to hang out.
Absolutely.
So, I know the title says presidential trivia, but we did that already. So if you're here for the presidential trivia stuff, that was earlier. I mean, I guess I could ask the chat the questions, but we did that earlier.
They're kind of hard.
Well, unless you just answer FDR over and over in your kitty. Kitty won round 2 with 7 points. Gigi had 2.5. Godless Engineer had 2. Kitty just mopped up because every question she got was FDR, and she just kept.
It was not everyone. There was a Kennedy and there was a Nixon in there too.
That's true. Yeah, Maya. There's no reason that she won't get Minnesota. I would. Or
like,
Michigan.
Even right now, like Wisconsin, well, technically, Trump is up. It's by 0.4%, and there's still a lot of votes to be tabulated.
And
like
remember,
we're talking like a 8,000 vote difference right now.
And remember, the reason that there's a lot of votes to be counted is that they're votes in cities, and cities tend to be Democratic. So, like, am I happy? No. They're showing a map right now. She's ahead of where Clinton was in 2016, and trending towards where Biden was in 2020 in Michigan. Everything is looking like she's going to win in Michigan. And he's showing the same thing about Pennsylvania, which he showed earlier. It's the exact same thing. She's currently ahead of where Hillary was in 2016, trending towards where Biden was in 2020. It just is what it is. Yeah, Maricopa County. Yes, thank you, Maricopa County. Could take 13 days to count. We even said this when we said we were going to stream tonight, that we would stream late, but we probably wouldn't have a decision. Now, if what I said earlier on Twitter is, if we have a blue Florida or a blue Texas, that I would say that she would win. I will say this: if we get Georgia and North Carolina in tonight, and she's flipped both of those blue, well, Georgia wouldn't be a flip, but if both of those come in blue and we get the vote tonight, it's effectively over. So, because then she would have to lose Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which is not. There's no way Trump's taking all three of them. I would be. It would be stunning if he took Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Now that I've said it, I'm like, oh well, shit, I shouldn't have said that. It would shock me. Yeah,
honestly, considering how many Puerto Ricans live in Pennsylvania, I don't expect them to win that state.
I don't either, especially like Philly, and we haven't gotten a lot of the numbers in from Philly yet. I would be stunned. I would be stunned if he wins Pennsylvania. He's much more likely to win Michigan or Wisconsin than Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the uncommitted in Michigan would definitely contribute to that, even though
And
Trump is way
currently,
worse than Kamala when it comes to the issue of
right.
Gaza, but you know,
And currently they're showing one of the counties outside Pittsburgh, Cumberland County. She's ahead of where Biden was in 2020 with 95% reporting. Trump's winning I'm sorry, not Pittsburgh, Harrisburg. I know I said Pittsburgh. Trump is currently winning the county, but she's ahead of where Biden was in 2020. And if that trend stays, she's going to win Pennsylvania. That's that 3% gender gap that, you're like a 3% gap, but that's enough. Remember, he lost Georgia by 11,780 votes. That's why on the phone call he said, guys, I need you to find me 11,780 votes, because that's what would have won him Georgia. So we're talking about razor thin margins, and we're probably not going to get a lot of results tonight. I was hoping that we would get something about North Carolina. Okay, well, I don't trust that information. Okay, sorry, I saw something, but I don't trust it, so I'm not repeating it. Maya, it's actually something like that. Like they have to be counted and they have to be like handed to someone and they have to check them or something. Like it's something really weird. I don't remember exactly what the process is, but it's very, very, very laborious, and it's just slow. Maricopa County just has some. Oh yeah, the 11,700. Yeah. We can't speak of it. Okay, we have a projection. Let's see what it is. Andy Kim elected to Senate in New Jersey. The Democrat Andy Kim. So that's good. We also have Kelly Ayotte, the Republican, has been elected governor of New Hampshire. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't been following the New Hampshire races. So I think this is the first time I've seen this lady's name. I'm like, oh, okay. I can't follow them. There's just too many.
Kamala just took Illinois. I think they called it for her.
Did they? Okay. Colorado.
Yeah, at 113 now.
Very nice. Colorado is going to also have an amendment to their constitution protecting abortion. So Amendment 79, right to abortion and insurance coverage, passed with 60. It's at 61%. They needed 55%. So, Trish, I have not seen that. No, there's been no projections. The last thing we heard about Georgia is that there were over 1 million votes still to count. So, which is what I was just saying. Remember, last time he only needed 11,780 votes. So it was very, 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 very close. I'm going to be right back because I'm out of water. So I got to go get another bottle of water. So I'm going to be right back. Bear with me.
So, looking at it right now, it's leaning towards Trump in Georgia, but there's still more votes to count. It, according to what I'm looking at, has not been called for him yet. But even if he takes Georgia, we'll still be okay, Yeah, right now there's, looking at the numbers, New Mexico's probably going to Harris. Arizona is 0.1% difference between them. It is razor's edge. Virginia's ahead for Kamala. North Carolina still has a lot more votes to count. I'm frustrated with the Cornel West and Jill Stein votes, considering how important this election is. Like, the spoiler candidates frustrate me. That's why we need ranked choice voting, so you can vote for a third-party candidate and not act as a spoiler. But, if you were going to vote for any third party, it would not, I would not want you to do Jill Stein, because, like, the Greens the Greens are just awful. Like, they refuse to actually try to win lower races. They only ever show up on presidential election years. And Jill Stein, you know, has very selective morals. I'll leave it at that, where it's
Yeah.
okay for one side to do something when you're talking about Gaza, but, when you're talking about Ukraine and Russia, it's like, oh no, that's fine. There's nothing around there. Nothing to see here. So, like, I mean, it is what it is, but seeing, tens of thousands of votes going to independent uh, or third party candidates in a race this consequential is very disheartening to me.
So they're showing some stuff about North Carolina, Mecklenburg County, which is where Raleigh is. Where Charlotte is. Where she's trending to be about where Biden was in 2020. Maybe a little bit ahead. Again, there's 90% of the vote in. So, not all the vote in. She's currently at 65.2%. He was at 66.7%. So again, it's, she's about about a half a point, half a percentage point behind where Biden was, but there's still 10% of the vote to count in a very Democratic area. So that is good news, because are there 200,000 votes there that she can pick up for statewide voter counts? We don't know. We don't know yet. Which is why they haven't called North Carolina. So that's, just wanted to bring that up. Of course, Wisconsin, Trump's currently ahead by a little less than a point, with a little over half the vote in. They're looking at, let's see, what county is that? That is Dane County, where Madison is. She's got 150,000 votes ahead of him in Dane County, with 89% in. So there's still 10% in a highly Democratic county that could end up swinging, putting the state in her favor. So that's why, it hasn't been called yet. Again, she's trending. She's right now about 2 percentage points behind where Biden was in 2020, with only 89% in. Will that be enough? And nobody knows. That's why the state hasn't been called. Are there 182,000 votes there that can, in those Democratic counties? I mean, that's not the only county, to give her the lead. This is why turnout's so important. This is why you got to vote. Doesn't matter where you live.
I was just about to say, this is why voting is so important, because this election is going to come down to the battleground states and just a few, maybe tens of thousands, or less votes, like it did in 2020, like it did in 2016. Hillary only lost by 30,000 votes spread across 4 or 5 states.
So I want to talk a little bit about Pennsylvania. This was just posted by David Schuster, who's a trusted source. Pennsylvania, Harris is down 100,000 with 54% in. However, the biggest population areas, Philadelphia and the suburbs, are at 40% in. And she's going to run up the margins. He says PA blue wall is going to hold. David Schuster, who's someone I trust, that's a name that I trust. He's saying that he sees a win in Pennsylvania for Harris. This is what I was saying earlier on in the night on TikTok. It would be shocking to me for her not to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all 3. But if she flips North Carolina or she keeps Georgia, she only needs 2 of them. She can lose a Wisconsin, she can lose a Michigan, or she can lose a Pennsylvania. I fully expect, you know what, I'm going to show my prediction map again. Why don't I just show, that's why I made it, was so that I could show it. Let me save this image.
And I will give you a surprise if you are correct.
Okay, that's a deal. Okay, let me put this up on the screen here. Okay, this is what I projected the map would look like at the end of the night. Oh, I'm sorry. I will get back to your comment, Mike, because I'm going to talk about Stein. But this is what I predicted the map will look like. I said this was Wednesday to Thursday. And I'm still right. Now, I do think that Georgia will go for Trump. I do think North Carolina is going to go for Harris. I apologize to all my George bros, but that's my prediction, is that she's going to lose one and gain the other. And I'm a homer and I live in North Carolina, so I'm calling North Carolina. It could be the other way too. She might win Georgia and he wins North Carolina. I don't think either of them is going to win either. So that's just how I feel. So I think without Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, or Arizona called, I see her up 242 to 235. Okay. I think this is where the map's going to be, somewhere around here tomorrow into Thursday. So the reason I wanted to put that up is kind of want to, let's calm some nerves. This isn't a surprise. Like what's going on right now, there's nothing that's surprising out there yet. That's all. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about Stein while I was in the other room. I was getting some more water, which I still need to drink. Yeah, Stein is particularly awful. And, the only people that would vote for her are people who understand that voting for her hurts Democrats and helps Trump, but don't want to directly support Trump, but don't mind Trump, I guess. And I don't know how you don't mind Trump. I'm going to get back to you, but there are more polls closing here in the next 40 seconds. So let's let those close. Let's see what projections we get off of this in the next 40 seconds. And then we'll go from there. They're showing somebody in Fulton County. I think that's a poll worker. I don't know what that. It was just people in a polling place in Fulton County. I'm not really sure what that was about.
Well, I mean, they called California for Harris, which no surprise.
Of course not. Of course not. But they're doing the projections right now, so I'm going to read them out to you as I see them. Here we go. Kamala Harris has won California. That's 54 electoral votes. So now you'll see her vote total go up, and it'll calm some nerves from some people to say, "Oh, we're a lot closer than we were." Idaho has been called for Trump, so that's 4 electoral votes. Again, not a surprise. Of course.
Not at all.
They're saying Washington's too early to call. There's not enough votes in yet, so
But I expect it to go for Kamala.
For Harris, yeah, I don't see him winning Washington State. And Oregon's still too early to call, but that would be a surprise if he won in Oregon or Washington State. That would be a surprise. Nothing.
And a bad one. It would be a very, very, very bad one.
Yeah, it would be stunning. So now Harris is at 145, Trump is at 214, which suddenly you feel a lot better about things. Like, oh wow, there are only 50 electoral votes separated. Well, yeah.
And there's still a bunch more electoral votes to go. Some of the larger,
right?
Ones like the
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, those are large.
Washington,
states.
Oregon also have decent electoral counts.
I will tell you right now how many they have because I've got it. It's on the thing that I just had. It's let me just put it back up here because I don't remember off the top of my head. Washington has 12. And Oregon has 8. So that's 20 electoral votes right there between those two states. So just keep in mind, there's a lot out there. Let's see, Wisconsin, I got to zoom in. Wisconsin is 10, Michigan's 15, Pennsylvania is 19. So that's a lot. That's 25 plus 19's 30, 44 electoral votes between those 3 states. So there's a lot there.
Yeah, I will leave that to you. I am a crafty queer, not a math queer.
Gotcha. Yeah, Maya. I mean, I was hoping for Iowa too. I was hoping for Iowa too. I think it bodes well for Democrats in the future because I think one of the things the Seltzer poll shocked them was how much older women care about women's reproductive health care, which was not a focus. They were very focused on Gen Z and millennial women instead of older women. And I think, there's there's going to be more of a focus on older women with reproductive health care moving forward by the Dems, which is good. That's very, very good for Dems. Trish says, we already discussed this. Delaware State Senator Sarah McBride has been elected. I mentioned it briefly, and then we got sidetracked. No, we did not mention it. Senator Sarah McBride will become the first openly transgendered person to serve in Congress, which is amazing and awesome. And we did not talk about that. It's beautiful.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I love it, and I love it. Yeah, Maya, the thing that I saw a few minutes ago that was like, oh, that's not from a trusted source, so I'm not going to say it. I saw the same thing. And so I'm not, until I see it from NBC, AP, New York Times, someone like that, I'm not, I can't officially call it. Makes me happy. But
I will say, according to MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, like Arizona, their counting has been delayed because of threats of violence and the need to evacuate places.
Yes. So Arizona's going to be, we don't even know.
A couple of days probably.
Yeah, this is good news. Eugene Vindman, very happy for him. What a hero. And
hopefully we make more history,
I just saw it come across on Twitter from a very trusted source. So yes, Eugene Vindman has won his VA race for the House. Very, very happy, especially because it's in Virginia, which is a neighboring state to me. And so that makes me feel good living in North Carolina. Maya says I'm not optimistic, but it would be awesome. I feel the same. Like, I'm optimistic enough that I bought blue Doritos, but
I wish I was there because I could go for some blue Doritos right now.
I could. I'm
had cheese crackers, like Ritz.
I am legit hungry right now, and like I want to open it, but I'm not opening it until NC is called one way or the other. So they're either celebratory or they are stress eating. Yeah, one of the two.
I mean, like I said, I had my Ritz crackers. I just keep little snacks over here by my computer because I actually have not eaten anything today. The Ritz crackers were the only thing I've eaten today.
Oh.
So here's a funny thing about me. I don't feel hunger anymore because of my ex.
Right.
So between that and the ADHD, I often forget to eat. But it wasn't so much forgetting today as I've just been really stressed. So I was like, I need to at least put some because the only calories I've had today have been from the 3 Red Bulls and the 1 Pepsi that I had to drink. So
okay, well, you need to not do that. Maya says we can all call Washington, Oregon, and California. I know, but it hasn't been from an official source. So I'm only calling out stuff that is like from official sources. But yes, it would be a stun beyond a stun for Donald Trump to win Oregon or Washington. Yeah, Spackle, AZ is split, and as Kitty said, there's some delays because of shenanigans.
Fireworks. They were gonna, they threatened some fireworks.
Trish, hold on. I bought the red ones because these are MVP Harris's favorite kind of Doritos. I bought these for when she's declared president-elect. So these won't get open for days. These are not, these have nothing to do with Republicans. These have to do with the fact that they are MVP Harris's favorite Doritos.
I did not know that about her.
Yeah. She prefers those over Cool Ranch. One thing that she and I disagree on.
Give me the Cool Ranch, over. Although the what is it? The like spicy sweet chili ones, those are really good.
I'm iffy on those. There are times when I like those, and there are times when I can't.
So what you do is you crush them up and mix them with breadcrumbs, and then you make mozzarella sticks out of those. It's so good. It's so good. You use them like along with like a breadcrumb. And if you want, like, you can go and get nice, good mozzarella, but like you can also just buy string cheese, like if you're being lazy, and cut the string cheeses in half. And then you dip them in egg and then breadcrumb, and you do that like 3 or 4 times, make sure it's nicely coated. But the breadcrumb is a mix of breadcrumbs and the Doritos, and it's a nice pop flavor.
That sounds really good. I got to try that.
Because
You're making me even hungry.
regardless
Like,
regardless of my complexion, I actually do season my food, and I actually do like spicy food. Uh,
okay, so I got a couple of projections. First of all, Oregon for Kamala Harris, as I said, would be shocking if she didn't.
Yeah.
That would have been a surprise, and you would have probably seen me cry.
Oh, I would
not
have
really.
fucking cried.
Um,
Absolutely.
and then Pat Ryan has won the New York 18th U.S. House seat as a Democrat. So
I would have cried ugly fucking tears if Oregon went.
if Oregon went Trump, yeah, I don't know that I would
Yeah.
cry about Oregon going Trump. I think it would just make me very sad. Be like, oh God,
Oregon is one of those places that I would love to live. Like, I'm weird. I want to go to Portland. I would say Austin, but their power grid and like being run by Republicans is a
Right.
hard no. As a person with a uterus, but like Oregon, man, like, because there's that rivalry between Portland and Austin where it's both of them say, keep Portland weird, keep Austin weird, and it's they want to try to out weird each other, and I'm for that. I like weird. I
Right.
I don't like normal. Because it's always he seems so normal, but he's got 4 women chained up in his basement for 20 years. It's like, no, no, no. Let me see your weird, and I'll know if it plays well with my weird.
Adam Schiff has won re-election.
I mean, that
Yeah,
was kind of expected.
I don't find that weird, really. I guess it's like, I think it'd be weird I think it's weird when people don't have stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's weird to me. Is
Wait, when they don't have women chained in their basement?
No. Yes,
I'm running on
that's what I meant.
anxiety and caffeine, babe. Like,
That's what I meant. That's what I
this is
meant.
what you get.
Yeah, and I've never been to Oregon. I've been to California. I lived in California for a while. I never made it up to Oregon for a bunch of different. I wanted to go see it. I wanted to go up to Oregon and Washington, but I just didn't happen. And now they're showing stuff about Pennsylvania, so I'm distracted again. But again, Pennsylvania is what's trending right now in all of the swing states is a Harris win. There's nothing that like. There's just nothing that really. There's nothing that's surprising me. I see some stuff out there like Polymarket says Trump has a 93% chance to win the White House. I'm like, okay, well,
The only
Polymarket is
reason is
run by a
because
Trump
some
supporter, and it's a
crypto
foreign.
whales decided to dump a bunch of money in it so that they
Right.
could help to reinforce the big steal
Right.
narrative.
That doesn't mean anything. It's a foreign betting website run by a Trump supporter. Like, it doesn't.
And who knows how much they tip their finger on the scales on that one. And it's a bunch of crypto whales that are just like,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
we're just going to pump. And it's based on who is betting on who to win, not on any actual polling or projections. So literally Elon Musk could just be like, all right, I'm going to drop $1 billion to say that Trump's going to win. And it would pull Trump
Right.
ahead.
And then it would flip this. It's just a betting site. It's just.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't have
betting.
any connection to reality.
No, it's just betting. And also, you know what that means is that you could go right now on Polymarket and buy a bunch of Harris winning stock, and if she did one, you'd make a bunch of money. So,
Not financial advice.
not financial advice, but that I'm saying people could manipulate it and then use it to do that. And because it's not regulated in the United States, because it's outside the bounds of the United States, people could. I'm saying it's ripe for. It's
Being
ripe
taken
for
advantage of
manipulation, right?
and
Financial
manipulation.
manipulation. I'm definitely not suggesting that anyone do that. I'm saying somebody could do that who is manipulating the platform.
Oh, I'm aware, but
Yeah.
you and I both have not been sleeping well. So
That's
I
true.
figured I would toss that out there
That's true.
just in case. Because again, you do work in finance. Like that's your thing. So
Right.
just tossing it out there. See, I'm on top of my game. Like for the
You
most
are.
part. I might be a little bit goofy, because overtired and highly caffeinated. But all in all, like, and that's the thing, caffeine doesn't actually keep me awake. I could literally consume 400 milligrams of caffeine and go straight to sleep. But it does help my brain focus. If I don't have enough caffeine, I will literally just be like, the lights are on and no one's home. I just space that out.
So, okay, I will give some bad news. I will give some bad news. This is Pennsylvania. In 2020, Biden won Pennsylvania by 81,000 votes in 2020. Okay, that was 1.16%. With 72% in currently, Trump is up 183,000 votes, which is 3.6%. So that's a lot. She's got to make up a lot there. She's got to make up for roughly 4.5% in order to get to where Biden was. Not saying it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
There's 27% of the vote that's not counted. But there you go. I'm trying to not be a homer. I'm trying to be fair.
And a lot of it's in those higher population things. And here's another reason why you get the red mirage, because like smaller areas, more rural communities have fewer people, so their votes get counted faster, so their tallies get, put into the system faster. Right. And then it takes longer when you're counting more votes. It's just a numbers game. If you have to count 1,000 votes, it'll take way less time than if you have to count 100,000 votes.
Right. Right now in Delaware County, she's ahead of where Biden was in 2020. So, some good news, some more good news. Shamari Figures wins the Alabama second House seat. That's a flip for Democrats. So Democrats flip the House seat. Yep.
But I'm not sure which days this week that ProLib and I will be streaming. I know we're going to be doing tomorrow, and then beyond that, I'm not sure.
Definitely tomorrow, because we expect to have some more results tomorrow. We're going to know whether it's a Republican hellscape or a Democratic hellscape.
Well, we'll actually finally, have answered Benjamin Franklin.
A Republican can keep it.
If you can keep it, and it would basically be like, no, we could not.
Well, and again, like they're showing more numbers. She's trending either right where Biden was in 2020 or a little bit ahead in Pennsylvania. Like that's the same thing I've been saying about Pennsylvania all night. I am not seeing, again, I'm watching it with the sound off, so I'm just watching the numbers on the screen.
Same.
But nothing that I've seen from Pennsylvania I haven't seen anything concerning from Pennsylvania. Like, we got another projection. I'm sorry. Bernie Moreno won a Senate seat in Ohio. That's a flip for Republicans flipped a Senate seat in Ohio. That's what that is. I don't know who Bernie Moreno is, but again, there's too many races for me to follow all of them. Adam Schiff, we already said, has been reelected to Senate.
Martin Heinrich in Senate in I think that was New Mexico.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, I happened to glance down because I've got it set up on my phone over here with the sound off. At this hour, the Republicans have a +2 net gain in the Senate. But there's still, 12 seats uncalled.
Sure. Martin Heinrich. Yep, I see it. Yep.
So 12 uncalled races. Republicans won 11. Dems have so far run 10. Independents won 2. 12 races still uncalled. And a net gain for the Republicans of 2 seats.
And I thought it was going to be really hard for the Democrats to win the Senate, just because of the races that were up weren't races that were going to be easy for Democrats to win. And so from what I'm seeing so far, I don't see the Democrats flipping the Senate. Flipping the House, absolutely. I think they could definitely flip the House. But I think from what I'm seeing, it looks like the Democrats are not going to win the Senate. I just don't see it.
Which is depressing if they lose the Senate, because it will kneecap a Harris administration, because
It
the
will.
Republicans can absolutely just be obstructionist twat waffles.
Yes, which they will be, of course.
Because they want to break government so
Right.
that people give them a chance to go in and break government more, but give tax cuts and deregulation to corporations and wealth hoarders, i.e., billionaires.
Right.
But so far, nothing has been shocking. Nothing is happening that we haven't, suspected. It it's it shouldn't be this close. No matter what, it's really fucking depressing that even if we win, it shouldn't have been this close. You have a convicted felon.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's why it's close. Trump and his people have been very good at convincing them that all of the charges against him are fake, that they are Democrat plants, and that it's just Biden and Kamala trying to stop him from, I don't know, from, removing the migrants, well, whatever it is. The guy on Spaces the other night just sounded crazy. I mean, he just sounded insane when he was yelling about communist bureaucrats. It was like, what communist like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. But Trump and his people have been very good at convincing them that is real, that the bureaucrats, the career bureaucrats that help the government stay stable and run, outside of presidential administrations changing, are somehow like dangerous.
And that is one thing that I will give credit to the Republicans for, like, not in a good way, but they are very good at messaging. They are very good at circling the wagons and keeping everybody on the same message, and,
Sure.
taking advantage and turning things to their advantage
Right.
whenever possible.
Well, Kai, Trish, I haven't seen that yet. So I haven't seen any calls for anything yet on North Carolina. But again, I've got my Doritos if they are. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Kai, that's part of it, right? I mean, he's the one who said, "I love the poorly educated." I mean, that was a thing he said publicly. Like, he loves people that aren't educated because they will vote for him in droves. So I don't necessarily think it's a lack of intelligence. I think it's a lack of education, and sophistication that comes from that education, where you're more susceptible to the kinds of black and white lies that he tells.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, low information voters voting based off vibes or, sound bites and
Right.
bumper stickers, slogans.
Right.
And
AP did call North Carolina? Yep. Okay, cool. I can open my Doritos. Go ahead. I love it when you first open them.
Wait.
No, it just came across my feed. They did.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
because I'm seeing, it.
Don't worry, I won't eat these. I will mute these while I eat them, so don't worry. I won't.
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna have
seeing
some
it
Doritos.
called for Trump, not Kamala, though.
That's what I said. Did I say Kamala?
No, I thought you just said called. I didn't hear you say Trump.
Oh no,
so-
yeah, North Carolina got called for Trump. I'm sorry. North
Okay.
Carolina got called for Trump.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I got confused. Don't mind me. But yeah, so it's basically voting based off of vibes and people not knowing the actual issues, not knowing that, his policies are going to hurt them. And
Well, what they believe is that his policies will hurt the people they hate more than it will hurt them, and so they're okay with it. What they want, what they care about is hurting the people they don't like. Where what we care about is helping everybody. Like, even if somebody I disagree with politically, I still want them to have the same opportunities that I have.
And have
Where
food.
if it's somebody they disagree with, they want them hurt.
Yep. And it is very, very frustrating, that they will use xenophobia and jingoism to rile people up. And again, just pointing the finger at those at the bottom rung of society and having them fight each other for crumbs while they run away with the bag. I mean,
Yes. So I was chewing. I don't want to chew into the microphone. Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is this belief that things are supposed to be broken. And so if things break, well, that's just government. It's like, well, no, we can fix that. Like government's made of people. Like we can regulate things and make them better. We don't have to live with broken systems and broken promises and broken dreams. Like we don't have to live that way. We can put people in that actually care about making things better, and they'll make things better. But a lot of them just don't believe that that's true. They believe that things must be broken because government's always broken. And so you're never going to convince them that you can fix things because they don't believe that government can be fixed.
but I'm hoping that Trump's number doesn't go up any higher. I really am hoping that Kamala picks up the rest of the states, because that would give her a very comfortable. I mean, not counting Alaska, that's going to go to Trump, but all in all, it's only a couple of electoral votes, but all in all, I don't want Trump to get any closer to 270 because the closer he is to that number, the easier it'll be to point to for the shenanigans that they are going to undoubtedly try.
Well, remember, that's what held in 2020. Like, let me grab that map. Hold on.
I really wish I was there right now for some Doritos. You would share it with me, right? I just need Minnesota and Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania to all go for Kamala. Like, if Arizona and Nevada take longer and Georgia, like, I'd still feel a lot more comfortable if those top 4 states went for Kamala sooner rather than later, because at least then I would be able to sleep tonight. Because again, I'm still convinced she's going to win, but there's that sinking feeling, that creeping doubt, like that I had all the way back in 2016. So I'm really hoping Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania all get called for Kamala soon.
So I put the map over my face because people would much rather look at you than me.
Oh, you're sweet.
This was the map, the final map in 2020. Biden won with, okay? Tonight, Georgia still hasn't been called. Pennsylvania still hasn't been called. Michigan still hasn't been called. Wisconsin still hasn't been called. There are no surprises. Nevada, Arizona still haven't been called. Oregon still hasn't been called.
Oregon was called.
Oh, Oregon was called. I'm sorry. Washington still hasn't been called is what I meant. We have not yet been surprised on this map. So all she has to do
still on track.
Right. Remember, we're still on track for a Democratic win. We've not been surprised tonight. There's nothing to be scared about yet.
But we need those top states to go sooner rather than later, because people that are anxiously watching this, paying attention, it will bring them some comfort. Because
Absolutely.
My heart is breaking for like my sister and my niece, who I keep saying, don't panic. It's not time to panic. I'll tell you if it's time to panic, but everything's going the way we expected, the way we projected.
Yeah.
Trump is not going to pick up much more in the way of electoral votes. I do believe this is going to be very similar to 2020 in the final vote counts. I was hoping for a Blorida. I was hoping for a Blexus.
Yep.
You know, I'm still hoping for a Blorgia, but um I'm sorry, it's just fun, you know. Like again, blame
They
Fox.
just called Connecticut for Kamala Harris. So
Not a
again,
surprise.
not a
Again,
surprise. Like look at the 2020
all
map.
of New
Not,
England. All of New
not a
England is
surprise.
going to go for the
Washington
Democrat.
State, they just called for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Again, we're still not surprised. There's nothing on the
Nothing has
map that's different
changed
from
from
2020 so far.
2020.
Right.
And we came out on top in 2020. And
Right.
again, no matter what happens, and I'm still, you know, I'm not in panic mode yet. I'm anxious, but that's just because even if Kamala wins or when she wins, there's still going to be some unrest. There's still going to be a lot of fuckery and chaos in the coming weeks. You can't avoid that when you have a demagogue that refuses to concede defeat, that refuses, especially considering he'll likely go to jail if he doesn't win. So he is a wounded animal backed into a corner, and he will fight with everything he has to not concede this and to try to shoehorn his way in. So there's going to be stress and there's going to be unrest in the coming days. And that has me anxious, obviously. But as far as the way the map is going, I'm not anxious about that because, again, it is going according to the projections and what we were already expecting to happen. I just wish for the people that, you know, again, aren't as tuned in. They just see these numbers and they're like, oh, you know, he's way ahead of her right now. Like he's closer to that 270. Like things are bad. You know, what are we going to do? But ultimately, no matter what, if you voted for Kamala and the Democrats in this election, you are on the right side of history. You did everything you could, you know, to protect our democracy and to protect the rule of law in this country. You know, I feel like there's more I could have done, you know, maybe reached out to more people or tried harder to convince people that might have been on the fence. But, you know, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but if people don't want to listen, ultimately, you know, the thing of democracy is everybody gets a vote. Everybody gets to voice their opinion on things, and you can try to convince them, but you can't force them. Once you do, you no longer have a democracy. And that was what we were fighting for in this election, was protecting our democracy, protecting our way of life in this country. Is it flawed? Absolutely. I could go on a 2-hour rant about all of the flaws in this country, but you know what? I honestly am of the opinion that it is a good thing to criticize your country when you feel they are doing wrong. That is a form of patriotism because you cannot fix problems if you don't admit problems exist. The first step to fixing a problem is to admit there is a problem. And I am hoping that, you know, the long arc of history does indeed bend towards justice. We've had some wiggles off the path here and there, unfortunately, but you know, the ballot measure for marijuana and for abortion failed in Florida because it didn't reach the 60% threshold. However, Kamala wins and gets enough Democrats to go in with her in Congress, then she can do a national abortion law to protect those rights. And she's even signaled that she wants to legalize recreational marijuana nationwide. So while those ballot initiatives failed here in Florida, there's still the chance to get it on the national level when Kamala wins. And there's always the midterms because that's the beauty of ballot initiatives and our democracy is you can always try again. All you have to do is, you know, go out and get signatures, and it's essentially a petition to get it on the ballot,
Right.
and then you vote. And so while it is a setback and it is very disheartening and it stings, it does, it's not over. And it is entirely possible that, you know, in the midterms, we will get that constitutional amendment. But it's also possible we might not need it if things go well, you know, for the Democrats in the election. So again, like all we can do is just stay the course.
I want to
Try
give
not
you
to
some
freak
good
out too
news,
much.
okay? Because we're gonna
Please.
we should go soon because I'm fading. Kamala Harris is currently outperforming Joe Biden in the Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee suburbs.
And that's huge because that is
Okay,
like the core of the
those are
population
huge voting
centers
blocks.
in
Philadelphia,
those
Detroit,
states.
and Milwaukee suburbs. So, like, you know, just keep that in mind that there's a lot of cities that are that are deeply Democrat, but they haven't counted the votes yet, guys. That's all. They just haven't counted the votes yet. Anyway, we're gonna sign off of here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. Same bat time, same bat place, and maybe we'll finish a trivia game. I don't know. We'll see who wants to come hang out.
Ooh, if you're Batman, does that make me Harley Quinn? Or because like
No, that would make you Catwoman.
well, I mean that would work too. But
Yeah.
I've actually no, I can't say that because I've cosplayed both Catwoman and Harley Quinn. So,
Okay.
but no, we could have like an adversarial thing, and like Harley's not all bad.
I'm not Batman though. I'm more Ant-Man. Honestly. Like
I mean, I don't know. You've got that boyish charm, You could be a Captain America.
he's the Captain America? Well, maybe.
I could say that.
I could see that. That's not a bad one.
Then I'll do Black Widow.
Then you could be Black. Oh yeah, Black Widow.
I have cosplayed as Black Widow before too.
I could see that. I could definitely see
I
that.
had red hair and everything.
Oh wow. I need to see those pictures. All right, April, thank you so much. Kai, Maya, Trish, everybody who hung out with us tonight here and on TikTok. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.